Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in part 13 of What If Jackie Chan was in W.I.T.C.H. Link in the description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. The precious mask. Phobos stood behind his younger sister as they stood together in the courtyard of their castle, the princess channeling her magic power in between her clapped hands. Elion concentrated on that spot as she pulled her hands apart to create a sphere of magic power before letting go, allowing it to grow and break apart, taking the form of butterflies made of magic power, which began to fly and spread throughout the air. Impressive, well done Elion. Phobos congratulated her as she wiped the sweat from her forehead. It feels weird but, I feel like I've gotten stronger since I came here. Elion said. That's not weird at all. Phobos explained. You were born in Meridian, now that you have returned to your homeland, your magic power will continue to grow. And I'm certain you can control and make the best of it. He said as he ruffled her hair. Elion smiled. Thank you. However, her smile faded slightly. Hey Phobos, what's an Oni mask? Phobos' smile faded as a serious look formed on his face. Where did you hear that? I overheard you, Cedric, and Daolan Wong talking about getting something like that. Elion answered. I didn't mean to eavesdrop or anything, It's alright. Phobos assured before providing his answer. The Oni masks are powerful tools of dark magic. Once you place a mask on your face, you are granted the powers of a demon. That took Elion by surprise, a demon. Those things actually exist. Indeed. Phobos confirmed. And these masks are demonic in nature, they are very dangerous weapons. In the wrong hands, just one mask could threaten all of Meridian. Elion was starting to look more than a little nervous. Why would you want to look for something like that? To keep it from being used against us. Phobos replied. The rebellion also seeks these masks, to try and gain an advantage over us. It is my goal to find these masks before they do and lock them in a special vault deep beneath the castle where they cannot be used by anyone ever again. Such a dangerous thing is better to be locked away. This seemed to give her some form of relief. That's good to hear. Do you think my friends are involved in this? Under the corruptive influence of Heart of Kandrakar, it is likely. Phobos responded. Well, in that case, I want to help. Elion stated with a determined expression. They're my friends and I want. And I understand perfectly. Phobos said as he placed his hands on his sister's shoulders. But Elion, you still don't have full mastery of your power yet. Nothing personal, but in order to retrieve these masks, I need those who are more experienced with magic and combat. If there is anything that I know you can help with, I promise I'll tell you. But for now, please trust that my friends and I can handle this. Elion gave a small sigh of disappointment but saw that her brother had a point. Alright, I trust you, Phobos. Thank you. Phobos smiled. And I believe that is enough practice for today. Why don't you go to your room and get some rest? Okay. Elion nodded before walking away. Phobos walked into his throne room, where Cedric, Miranda, and Daolan Wong were all gathered. Before any of them had a chance to speak or acknowledge the presence of their prince, he had already had words of his own to speak. Elion overheard our conversation regarding the Oni mask. Phobos stated, if she discovers what our intentions are for them, everything is at risk. I will see to it those fools that are supposed to be guarding her are punished. Daolan Wong assured. That is not good enough, Wong. Phobos chastised. Under no circumstances are any of you to mention the masks unless we know for certain that my sister is not in our presence. Miranda, I leave that to you, fail me and there will be dire consequences. I understand. Miranda bowed her head. Speaking of which, a new voice spoke up as everyone directed their attention to one of the main stained glass windows in the throne room as the face of the Oni king himself materialized himself from the glass and hovered down toward the group. I have located the next Oni mask. Tarakudo. Phobos acknowledged. You are certain? 100%. Tarakudo confirmed. Good. Cedric, take Daolan Wong and Miranda to retrieve the mask. Phobos ordered. But, under no circumstances are any of you to wear it. Elion cannot learn our intent. I agree. Tarakudo also said. We can't afford to place our cards on the table yet. We'll retrieve the mask first and find a host later. Very well. Cedric nodded as his eyes became slits and he hissed enthusiastically while Daolon Wong waved his scepter, creating a smokescreen of dark blue smoke that engulfed himself, Cedric, and Miranda, before they all vanished and Tarakudo vanished with them, leaving Phobos alone as he carried a dangerous glint in his eyes. Earth, Heatherfield. The group consisting of Jade, Will, Heilin, Irma, Cornelia, Terani, and Alchemy had just got out from school as they appeared to be talking about their next possible adventure. So, when are we gonna find out about that next mask thing? Alchemy asked. Jackie, Caleb, and everyone else are at the shop, trying to see if they can find it with those Hanafuda cards. Will answered. Grandma's there too, to try and help out. Heilin added. Cornelia rolled her eyes in partial annoyance. We've been playing with those cards for more than a week, but we still got nothing. Why can't they come with an instruction manual or something? To be fair, we have been pretty busy lately, what with Jade becoming a guardian now. Terani said. A super cool shadow ninja guardian. Irma smirked with Jade. Got that right, Jade said enthusiastically. Now that J-Witch is official, bad guys better beware or they're gonna get a face full of it. Hiya. She gave a flying kick to a nearby trash can in an alleyway to knock it down. Now there's the fun-loving Jade we all know. Heilin smiled. How about saving that for the actual bad guys? Will suggested with a half smirk. Jade returned the smirk, but it faded once she heard a whining-like noise coming from deeper in the alleyway. Guys, hold up. She walked into the alley, with the other girls following her. You hear that? Yeah, behind that dumpster. Alchemy pointed to the aforementioned dumpster as the group came around the side to see something that made them gasp slightly. It was a dog, a light-furred, green-eyed canine, that appeared to be limping. It's a dog, Terani observed. He looks hurt. Jade kneeled down closer, the dog backing further behind the dumpster. Hey, it's okay, she smiled. Come here, she gave a slight whistle, holding out her hand, showing that she meant no harm. The dog slowly limped closer toward Jade to sniff her hand. Jade then slowly backed out, allowing the dog to step out, where Jade then scooped it up in its arms. Ah! All the girls practically gushed as they saw the dog's adorable green eyes. Where'd this cute little guy come from? Will asked. He doesn't have a collar, he's probably a stray. Terani noted. Heilin looked at the dog's right hind leg and could see it was bent oddly, causing her to look in sympathy. Ah, you poor thing, your leg is hurt. Maybe we should take him to the vet. Alchemy suggested. Nah, we'll take him to the shop. Jade said. Use the horse talisman to heal him right up. Why do you have the one of the talismans at your uncle's shop? Cornelia asked somewhat skeptically. Considering Caleb's been trying to mess with uncle's spells, I thought it'd be a good idea to have it there just in case your boyfriend accidentally blows something up. Jade explained. Magic first aid. Yeah, that might actually be a good idea. Irma agreed. Last time Rebel Boy messed with a spell, he almost set the whole place on fire. I get it, and he's not my boyfriend. Cornelia scowled. Sure, whatever you say, Cornelia. Alchemy teased. Come on, Will said. Maybe Jackie and the others will have the Hanafuda cards figured out by the time we get there. Uncle's shop. It is your move, Toru. Uncle said as he, Toru, Jackie, Yanlin, and Caleb all sat at the table, each holding a hand of Hanafuda cards with a small pile of said cards in the middle of the table. Toru placed one card down in the middle of the pile as the group looked to see any kind of reaction. So far, there has been none. Come on, we've been playing this thing for hours. Caleb complained as he looked all over his hand of cards. There's gotta some kind of trick to make these things work. Caleb, the first rule of research and study, is patience. Jackie told him. There is a pattern to these cards, we just have to find them. And this is where years of poker and blackjack pay off. Yanlin said as she put one card down. I wasn't aware you've played such card games, Miss Lin. You don't seem like the type to gamble. Toru said to her. I don't. But while the girls of today all have video games, internet videos, and television, my old team and I used to play cards to pass the time. Yanlin answered. Sweet. They all heard Irma say as the group turned around to see all the girls enter the shop. So, if we end up going to Vegas, we'll take you with us and score $1 million. That is not happening, Jackie said sternly before noticing the dog in Jade's arms. Girls, why is there a dog here? We found this poor guy in an alleyway, and his leg is messed up. Lin replied as Will quickly went into the back room. So, we're just gonna use the horse talisman to fix him up. Found it. Will quickly came back outside with said talisman in her hands. Jade held up the dog as Will placed the talisman on the dog's body. A bright magic aura briefly surged around the dog's body, healing all the injuries it had, including its broken leg. Once it was done, the dog no longer felt any pain as it barked happily. There. Good as new, aren't you, boy? Jade gushed as the dog licked her face, prompting the other girls to gather around the dog as Jade put it down. Who's a good heeled boy? Who's a good boy? Will scratched the dog behind its ears. You are. Yes you are. Lin also gushed as she petted him with Alchemy, Terani, Irma, and even Cornelia petting and scratching the dog, saying all sorts of loving and affectionate things, all 6 of them easily falling for the dog. Though Jackie and the others were happy that the dog was healed, they knew the dog couldn't stay here, something that Uncle was about to make clear. Iya. No animals in shop. Show. Don't you dare. Cornelia wrapped her arms around the dog protectively. Ah Jin, how can you be so cold to this face? Yan Lin kneeled down to scratch the dog's behind its ears. Uncle does have a point though. Jackie told the group. We should take him to the animal shelter. Can any of you even keep it? All the girls' eyes widened in realization, as they never really took that into account as they looked at one another. My dad's allergic to fur. Terani said dejectedly. And my apartment doesn't allow dogs. Will said in the same tone. Grandma. Lin looked to her grandmother with a hopeful expression. We can't let him the restaurant. Yan Lin said. Maybe inside, but it's up to your parents, Lin. I could probably take him. Irma said. And give your brat brother another reason to act all wild. Cornelia questioned. Why not let me take him? Hey, I'm the one who found him. Jade quickly said. Guys, come on, let's not fight over him. Alchemy tried to diffuse any tension that was forming. Girls, we got bigger problems to worry about right now than just some dog. Caleb slammed his hand of cards on the table. However, right as he did, 3 cards in the pile began to glow, getting everyone's attention. The card on the left showed the image of Horned Mask. We have found the next mask. Toru stated as everyone was now paying close attention. The middle card showed the geographical image of a familiar city. And this card shows us where to find it. Jackie stated, but he and everyone else were surprised by the location. It's right here in Heatherfield. Terani asked. Well, it saves us a flight, and an excuse with our parents. Irma pointed out. And it looks like the mask removal ingredient is. Will looked at the final card on the right as it showed the image of a bowl of rice and chopsticks. Japanese rice. Not a problem. Yan Lin smiled. We have plenty at the Dragon. We can make the mask removal potion there. Toru, Yan Lin, alchemy, prepare spell. Uncle began to instruct everyone. Jackie, girls, Caleb, find mask. Jade, read sign. Sign. Jade asked in confusion. The one in shop window. Uncle pointed to the sign that hung on said window, showing the image of a dog and cat with a, not allowed, symbol on it. No pets allowed, Uncle stated, referring to the stray dog they brought in. It was late in the afternoon by the time Jackie led Will, Irma, Jade, Lin, Cornelia, Terani, Caleb, and even the dog, into the closed museum that the Hanafuda card had guided them toward. They appeared to be in the Jurassic area, evident by all the exhibits of dinosaur bones and cavemen statues. This is the Jurassic section. Cornelia pointed out. Shouldn't we be like in Orient or something? The mask is Japanese. What's Orient mean? Caleb asked. It means ancient culture within the Eastern Asian area, which includes Japan. Terani explained. The card is telling us that the mask is in this area of the museum. Jackie said, before finally noticing the dog. And why did you bring the dog with you? Duh. Oni mask emergency. Jade pointed out. We didn't have time to drop Scruffy off out at the shelter. Scruffy? Jackie asked. It's his name. Lin said. We can't have a nameless dog, can we, boy? You want a name? Yes, you do. Lin kneeled down to pet the dog now christened, Scruffy. Jackie rolled his eyes slightly. Just stay focused on our mission, we need to find the mask. Jackie told them. No problem. Irma smirked. Eyes forward, fists ready. Yeah, eyes forward to the moving trash can. Will pointed toward a nearby garbage can in the corner of the room that shook slightly. Scruffy already ran toward the can to growl and bark at it, prompting everyone to take combat stances, expecting trouble. However, they did not expect the head of a certain passling to pop out of the garbage can. "Blunk!" everyone exclaimed in shock. "Blunk not steal. Only looking for snack," Blunk said truthfully as he ate a rotten banana peel. However, Blunk gave a startled scream as he noticed Scruffy growling and barking at him, the trash can falling over as Blunk quickly ran to climb up the T-Rex skeleton and hide in its rib cage. Tiny wolf. Tiny wolf. Scruffy's not a wolf, Blunk. He's a dog, Will told him. "I'm not surprised," Caleb said. "Passlings don't last long in the wild and are usually easy prey for predators like wolves. And since dogs and wolves are related." "Okay, we get it," Cornelia said. "Wait, you have wolves in Meridian?" Jade asked, which Caleb nodded in confirmation. "Cool." As Will picked up Scruffy, with Blunk still hiding in the T-Rex rib cage, Jackie noticed the card in his hands was starting to glow. Everyone, Jackie got the rest of the group's attention as he pointed the card to an exhibit of prehistoric rocks. "The card is leading me to." Suddenly, Scruffy jumped out of Will's arms, much to her surprise. "Scruffy, wait." But the dog had already jumped up onto the exhibit and started digging at a patch of dirt. It wasn't long before he uncovered the mask they sought. It was a yellow and black mask with red eyes and two curved horns on its forehead. "We found it," Terani stated. "Guess Scruffy's part bloodhound, aren't you, boy?" She scratched the dog behind its ears, causing Scruffy to lick her cheek in gratitude. Blunk, from his vantage point, could see the Oni mask. Scary mask. "Come on," Jackie told the group. "We had better leave before your friends arrive." The voice of Daolon Wong spoke up as the group turned around to see a large plum of dark blue smoke emerge from the ground, and once it dissipated, it revealed Daolon Wong himself, along with Cedric in his humanoid snake form, and even Miranda. "Yeah, before that happens." Irma scowled slightly as the rest of the group took combat stances, with Scruffy barking and growling at the three villains, and Blunk hiding deeper in the T-Rex ribcage. Cornelia's eyes widened upon seeing Miranda. "I remember you," she scowled at the girl. "You helped Cedric to kidnap Elion." "My name is Miranda," she smirked evilly. "And we didn't kidnap her, she came to us of her own accord. Which is more than I can say for the rest of you." Her eyes narrowed as her entire body began to transform, much to everyone's surprise. Gone was Miranda's human form. Now most of her body appeared to be a large black furred mass with 4 blue eyes, her arms and legs outstretched almost like spider legs. "She's a shapeshifter too," Caleb exclaimed as he drew his katana. "Didn't see that coming," Haylin voiced in surprise. Terani felt her own case of the willies. "Did I mention how much I hate spiders?" "Enough of this," Daolon Wong exclaimed. "Retrieve the mask." He blasted a stream of dark Kai magic at the group, forcing them to scatter as Cedric and Miranda were already on the charge. Will immediately pulled out the heart of Kandrakar and said the magic words. "Guardians unite." The crystal shined a bright pink as Will, Jade, Irma, Cornelia, Haylin, and Terani all transformed into their respective guardian forms. With that, the fight had begun as Terani, Irma, and Haylin flew directly toward Daolon Wong, who tried to blast them with his dark Kai magic from his scepter, but the three girls were able to avoid the blasts rather easily as Terani shot a series of fireballs from her fist, forcing Wong to raise a barrier of dark magic to protect himself. Haylin and Irma both landed on opposite sides of the Dark Wizard as they tried to get him in a cross between a whirlwind and tidal wave respectively, prompting Wong to expand his barrier like a dome to protect himself from the worst of it. Once the attack subsided, Wong threw away his barrier as he raised his scepter into the air to shoot the cavemen statues, causing them to come to life and attack the three guardians. Jackie found himself backed by the T-Rex skeleton as Cedric loomed over him. "The mask, if you please," Cedric hissed in a sinisterly polite tone. Only if you promise never to wear it," Jackie told him, trying to sound polite himself. "Oh, I won't, but we'll find someone who will." He thrusted his fist toward Jackie, who jumped over the fist, landed on Cedric's arm and jumped from that to propel himself into the ribcage of the T-Rex, along with Blunk. Cedric was about to go after him, only for Caleb to run at him from behind and slice at him with his katana, causing Cedric to roar in pain and leave him open for Will to fly in and deliver a roundhouse kick to Cedric's face to knock him down. Cornelia pressed her hand onto the ground to crack and shake up the floor, in an attempt to knock down Miranda, but she leapt from the ground to shoot a stand of webbing from her mouth to ensnare and pin Cornelia to the ground. However, before Miranda could make a move, "Hey Spider Girl, heads up!" Jade exclaimed as she flew down to deliver a kick to knock Miranda back. Jade quickly generated her shadow magic around her hands, which took the form of claws, which she was able to use to slice the webbing from Cornelia. "Thanks," Cornelia said as Jade helped her up. "That was so gross." "So, the rumors are true," Miranda mused as she faced the duo. "There is a sixth guardian." Jade smirked at the spider shapeshifter. "See, here's the thing about bugs your size. They make a bigger mess when I squish them." Jade shot a column of fire-like shadows at Miranda, prompting her to jump to the nearest wall and begin climbing it. However, as Miranda began to climb, she noticed Jackie at the top of the T-Rex skeleton along with Blanc, while Will and Caleb kept Cedric busy down below. "Jackie, look out," Jade warned as Miranda shot some webbing toward Jackie, prompting him to duck as Cornelia rushed toward the wall and channeled her earth powers to shake it and knock Miranda off the wall, directly toward a punch from Cornelia to send her crashing into Cedric. However, before anyone could celebrate, they all heard a familiar voice coming from the T-Rex skull. "Tarakudo Rex," Tarakudo exclaimed as his face materialized from the skull. "King of the Shotokan." Tarakudo. Jackie, Will, Jade, Caleb, and Cornelia all exclaimed as the Oni King unleashed a powerful psychic wave to blast all five of them back, as well as send the mask flying. "Everyone, heads up," Will called to Hei Lin, Irma, and Terani, who had just finished destroying the caveman statues with their respective elements. Terani was the first to try and grab the mask, only to be blown away by Tarakudo while Daolan Wang blasted Irma and Hei Lin from behind as he used his magic to catch the mask before lowering it to his hands. "Success!" Daolan Wang sneered, only to yell in a startled pain as he glanced down to see Scruffy biting on his ankle with a growl. "Insolent mongrel." He was about to blast the dog, only for Irma to fly in and grab Wang's arms just in time, forcing him to miss the blast. "Don't touch our dog," Irma exclaimed as she delivered a punch so hard it sent Daolan Wang flying and crashing into a trash bin, covering him in said garbage. "I got the mask." "Not for long, Missy," Tarakudo said as he tried to grab and pull the mask with his telekinetic powers, with Irma struggling to hold onto it. However, Jade came at Tarakudo from behind to blast him in the back with a steam of shadow flames, the force sending him flying and crashing face first into a wall. However, a stand of webbing caught the mask and yanked it from Irma's hands and into the hand of Miranda. "Ooh, so close," Miranda mocked. "Oh no you don't." Jade and Irma were about to fly in and stop Miranda, only to have their way barred by Cedric as he tried to attack them, forcing them to evade his punches. Suddenly, Miranda was surrounded by a ring of fire as Terani and Hei Lin flew over her, the latter trying to fly down and get the mask back, only for Miranda to shoot out a ball of webbing which struck Hei Lin and sent her into the right leg of a dinosaur skeleton, sticking her to it, but Terani directed the flames closer to Miranda. Knowing she couldn't hold onto it on her own, she looked toward the other shapeshifter in the room, who had just knocked back Jade and Irma with a swipe of his tail. "Cedric," Miranda called to him as she threw him the mask. Cedric would have caught it, had Jackie not flipped in midair and caught the mask himself. "No," Cedric and Miranda exclaimed in frustration. "Sorry. I will not return this." "Thank you," Jackie said as he attempted to make a run for the exit. Cedric was about to give pursuit, only for Cornelia, Will, and Caleb to get in his way. "I don't think so," Will stated as the three went on the attack. Jade, meanwhile, had used her shadow claws to cut Hei Lin free as they and Irma tried to follow Jackie out, but Daolan Wang teleported himself in between the group and the exit as he tried to blast them with dark magic, forcing them to fly or leap away and avoid the blasts. Jackie, however, was blasted in the back by the recovered Tarakudo, sending the mask flying. Scruffy barked as he tried to jump and grab the flying mask, but Tarakudo blasted the dog away with his psychic powers. "Scruffy!" Jade exclaimed as she flew up to grab her dog. This moment of distraction, however, caused Tarakudo to lose his telekinetic grip on the mask, causing it to fall toward an unsuspecting Blanc and land right on his face. The second the yellow mask made contact with Blanc's face, it wrapped itself completely around his head as Blanc's whole body began to change. His green skin turned a bright yellow as he grew in size, taking the form of a muscular hunchback demon that walked on all fours. He growled in surprise as he revealed the mask was now part of his face. Pretty much everyone had the same jaw-dropped and circular-eyed expressions from Jackie, Will, Jade, Heilin, Cornelia, Irma, Terani, and even Caleb, to Daolan Wang, Cedric, and even Miranda. Not exactly who I had in mind. Tarakudo remarked in surprise himself. Did that mask just end up on? Cornelia stuttered. Yep. Terani nodded in confirmation, not over the surprise herself. Bad day, Jackie muttered. What, why you all look at Blanc funny? Oni Blanc asked, seemingly oblivious to his newfound transformation, or his demonic voice. Blanc, just, take it easy, Heilin eased as she slowly walked toward him, with Caleb standing close behind and keeping a firm grip on his katana. Try not to panic and summon evil shadow monsters. Smiley girl make no sense. Why Blanc, however, once Oni Blanc looked toward his hands, he gave a yelp in surprise as he looked over himself. What happened to Blanc? Cedric growled in anger as he slithered his way towards the transformed pastling. You insolent pest. How dare you wear that mask? He looked ready to rip Blanc apart. No. Stay away from Blanc, Oni Blanc exclaimed in fright as he held up his hands defensively. However, this act of survival and fear appeared to be the trigger necessary for a ring of shadows to form around Blanc before 5 shapes emerged from the shadow, wing-like appendages folded around their bodies akin to bats or even vampires with bat-like horns and singular red V-shaped eyes. They unfolded their wings as they turned to face Cedric to reveal their bodies with black suits that covered their upper bodies, dark blue-skinned arms and feet with claws and talons. Cedric backed away in surprise as everyone else was even further shocked by what Blanc had just done. Uh-oh, Jade gulped. Shotokan tribe number 3. Irma muttered in fear. Oni Blanc gave a scream upon seeing these winged Shotokan. Ah, shadow men, stay away. Just as ordered, the Shotokan all vanished as Blanc made a run for it. Blanc, wait. Heilin tried to stop him, but Oni Blanc had already leapt high toward the ceiling and crashed through the skylight and out of the building. After him, Miranda exclaimed, only for her, Cedric, and Wang to be pulled into the air by Tarakudo's psychic powers. Friendly reminder, the only thing that can separate a mask from its wearer is, blah. Tarakudo spat in disgust before finishing his sentence. Good magic. But that's not to say, we can't use this to our advantage. Tarakudo then vanished from sight as that same telekinetic force pulled Cedric, Wang, and Miranda through the skylight and outside, causing it to shatter and break even more, leaving a group of confused and shocked heroes. So, that happened, Cornelia said. Caleb groaned in annoyance. Out of all the faces in this or any world, that mask just happened to wind up on Blanc's face. And he's already learned how to summon his Shotokan. Jackie was the first to get serious. Come on, we have to get to the Silver Dragon and hope Uncle and the others have that mask removal potion ready. Oni Blanc paced back and forth on one of the many rooftops over the city of Heatherfield, trying desperately to take the mask off his face. Get off Blanc. Blanc not want be scary monster. However, it looked almost like he was trying to rip off his own face, and given the circumstances, it wasn't all that inaccurate. Over on a separate rooftop, the quartet of villains observed Oni Blanc's antics as most of them were more than a little annoyed. An Oni mask, to wear one is to gain the strength and power of a demon, while also summoning a small army of shadow minions. Daolan Wang growled, and it is now in the possession of a mere pastling. I can't think of anything more wasteful. Then why don't you concoct a spell to remove it, wizard? Miranda exclaimed. Wang glared at the spider shifter before answering. Because I know nothing of the spells that were used on those masks in the first place. Phobos will not be pleased with this unfortunate development, Cedric stated. Or maybe he will be. Tarakudo mused as he hovered over the group. I understand why you all may feel disappointed given how weak passlings appear to be, but that creature is no longer a passling. But, in fact, its nature as a passling should work more to our advantage. What do you mean? Cedric asked. Tarakudo only smirked in response. Just watch and learn, my friends. He then hovered toward the building where Oni Blanc was on. Oni Blanc looked at his reflection in a small puddle as he gave a sad sigh. Blanc not want to be monster forever. You make it sound like a bad thing. Tarakudo remarked as he appeared above Oni Blanc, causing him to gasp in fright. Easy, easy, I mean you no harm. Guardians tell Blanc of Floating Head. Floating Head bad guy. Oni Blanc exclaimed. No, you know me. Tarakudo spoke as he looked deep into Oni Blanc's red eyes. Look deep inside yourself, look into the darkness within, and you will truly know me. However, Tarakudo didn't actually appear to be speaking to Blanc, but the Oni demon spirit that resided within the mask, and now currently resides in Blanc's soul. You are Tarakudo, king of the Shotokan. Oni Blanc spoke, appearing to calm down. Yes. The Oni king smiled evilly. And you are one of my trusted generals. Tell me, Blanc, as a pasling, what is it you seek most? Oni Blanc continued to listen as he gave his answer. Treasure. And this world is abundant in it, just look below my friend. Tarakudo gestured Blanc to look off the edge of the building toward the busy street below. Look at the people in this city, each one of them carries a treasure of their own. Jewels, gold, silver, and other bright and shiny objects. And all of that could be yours. Blanc see it, Blanc sees all the shiny things, all the precious treasure. Oni Blanc said in a trance-like state. But, Blanc have nothing to trade. Why do you have to trade for it? Tarakudo asked. You can simply take it, and you have the means to do just that. Blanc. Call upon the darkness within, so that you can claim what you desire. Darkness within, Oni Blanc muttered as the symbol of the Shotokan appeared in both his eyes. Within seconds, the entire rooftop was covered in shadows as more than 24 winged Shotokan emerged from the shadows to bow before Oni Blanc. Yes, Blanc take treasure, take the precious. Yes, and I believe we both know there is one jewel out there that surpasses all the others. Your crown jewel, if you will. And you know exactly what it is, don't you? Tarakudo lulled. Heart of Kandrakar. Oni Blanc said in a low growl before commanding his Shotokan forces, go. Get Blanc precious treasures. Get Heart of Kandrakar. Go. With that order, the Shotokan spread their wings as they flew down into the city. Silver Dragon. Blanc has the mask. Alchemy exclaimed as both groups got together to compare notes. Yeah, and he already summoned his own Shotokan, too. Will nodded. Those Bat-Con were pretty terrifying, almost like vampires. Hey Lin said. Bat-Con? Cornelia asked. Yeah, because they look like gigantic bats with those wings. Hey Lin replied. Call them whatever you want, what's important is that we remove the mask from Blanc. Jackie stated. Uncle, is the spell ready? All done. Uncle held a vial of the green potion. Like the previous two potions, we need only spread this on our hands so we can literally pull the mask off. Toru explained. Then we better find Blanc before Tarakudo and the others teach him some new tricks. Irma said before kneeling down to Scruffy. Not doggy tricks, no offense Scruffy. She patted his head as Scruffy licked her face. It shouldn't be too hard to find a pasling, just look in the nearest dumpster and we'll find him. Caleb said. Earth to Caleb, there are literally thousands of dumpsters in a city like this. Jade pointed out. And I don't think Blanc's gonna hang around in dumpsters the way he is now. Terani added. Blanc's always trying to get stuff that he thinks is valuable and worth trade, right? Well now he can summon an army of monsters to take literally whatever he wants. And it may no longer be simple thievery. Yan Lin said. Blanc wears the mask of an Oni demon. The longer he wears it, the more corrupt he'll be. The demon inside will turn him into something else, and Blanc will seek more than just simple trinkets. Kinda like that. Cornelia exclaimed as she pointed out the window for everyone to see a horde of Bat-Con descending upon the streets, causing the people in the area to panic and scream. As the group ran outside, they looked in a mixture of shock and confusion as they saw what the Bat-Con were doing. The Bat-Con were stealing any shiny object they could get their claws on, from hubcaps and cars, to ambushing people and stealing jeweled necklaces and bracelets from women and watches from men. Several Bat-Con even broke into multiple stores to steal more jewelry and even large mirrors. Once they all had an armful of as much as they could carry, the Bat-Con would take to the skies to fly away with their stolen goods. Are the Shotokan actually robbing people? Will asked. Blanc is having them steal anything that he sees as valuable. Caleb assumed. Basically, anything shinny. Then we better follow them, they could lead us to Blanc. Jackie said, however, before he could even make his move. Heads up. Alchemy warned everyone as a group of 20 Bat-Con descended toward them to attack and surround the group. Uncle immediately pulled out a blowfish and a dried lizard, throwing the later to Yan Lin as they each shot Kai blasts to blast the incoming Bat-Con into oblivion while Jackie, Toru, and Caleb took on the ones that landed past them, using their fists, feet, or sword in Caleb's case to fight them off. Hang on guys. Will reached into her coat to pull out the heart of Kandrakar, only for two Bat-Con to suddenly fly in and grab her, pulling her into a nearby alleyway. Will. Jade exclaimed as she and the other girls were about to run and help her, only for 6 Bat-Con to land in front of them and block their path before attacking, forcing the girls to use whatever martial arts skills they know to defend themselves. Before Will even got a chance to struggle, she was slammed against the wall to knock her unconscious as the Bat-Con pair let her slide to the ground. One of them reached to grab the heart, but once it touched it, the heart glowed a bright pink before the Bat-Con was obliterated. Through the remaining Bat-Con's eyes, Oni Blanc could see what was going on as he commanded his forces. Don't touch Jewel. Take girl. The single remaining Bat-Con picked up the unconscious Will before flying into the air with her. Just as everyone else appeared to have dispatched the last of the group of Bat-Con, they looked in clear shock as they saw the Bat-Con from the alleyway, flying away with Will in its arms, flying up to join the rest of its tribe with their stolen treasures and jewels. Will. Most of the girls all screamed in shock as Jackie, Toru, Uncle, Caleb, Yan Lin, and especially Jade, could only look in clear horror. Will's eyes slowly opened as she regained consciousness. As she did, however, she felt some form of pressure around her body that prevented her from moving. Her eyes widened in shock as she saw a trio of Bat-Con standing over, tying some form of shadow-like substance around her body like rope. Her hands were tied behind her back, her ankles tied together, while more of this shadow rope was wrapped around to bind her arms to her sides. What the? Wills tried to struggle in her bonds, only to end up rolling down off the pile of stolen jewels and treasure she was on to land hard on the ground. Ow, what, oh my god, her eyes widened in clear shock at the vast hoard of items the Bat-Con all dropped in. She was currently on the roof of the tallest building in Heathfield. The rooftop was practically covered in stolen jewelry, mirrors, car parts, and other kinds of bright and shiny objects. It looked almost like a treasure hoard one would see in a typical pirate movie. Yes, treasure. So much, my precious treasure, all mine. Oni Blanc lulled as he held an armful of said treasures. Blanc. Will tried to get his attention. Listen, this isn't you. Tarakudo and the others. Some call my name. Tarakudo's face emerged from a mirror as he hovered over the bound Will. Sleep well. Don't bother struggling, those restraints are pure shadow magic, no physical object can cut through them. Hey, magic must defeat magic, right? Will said with a glare as she noticed the heart of Kandrakar was still with her. Gwar, before she could even say the magic words, a steam of webbing was shot to her face, covering her mouth and preventing her from speaking anything else. Nah, Miranda, still in her spider form, shook her finger. No flashy transformations for you, little guardian. And she wasn't alone, both Cedric and Daolan Wong were on the roof as well. Why did you bring the girl when you were supposed to bring the heart of Kandrakar? Cedric questioned Oni Blanc. Shotokan couldn't take heart, so take girl instead. Oni Blanc stated. What our friends means to say is the heart of Kandrakar is incredibly powerful good magic. Tarakudo explained. And the Shotokan are dark in nature. As such, they cannot touch the heart. Still though, this is good. Tarakudo loomed over the bound and gagged Will as she glared at the Oni King. Now that we have the leader, the others cannot transform and are powerless. The Shotokan may be unable to take the heart, BTU what is to stop us from doing so? Miranda asked. Even if you were able to, you can't access its power. Nobody on our side is a chosen guardian, isn't that right Cedric? Tarakudo asked the largest shapeshifter present. Unfortunately, that is correct. Cedric confirmed. No one here can use the heart's power at its fullest. Daolan Wong however chuckled. I fear you may be underestimating my talents. As the most malevolent of Dark Kai masters, I know a multitude of ancient spells, perhaps one that will enable me to suck out the power of the heart of Kandrakar, reducing it to a useless bauble, and turning its raw power into our personal weapon. Tarakudo looked intrigued. Interesting, care to put those words into action, Daolon Wang? With pleasure. Wang sneered as he attempted to loom over Will, extending his hands as the mouths in his palms opened up, only for Will to pull back. Her bound feet kicked them hard at Wang where the sun doesn't shine, causing Wang to squeal in pain as he held his crotch and fell to his side. Even Tarakudo winced slightly. Ooh, that's gonna leave a mark. Cedric hissed at Will. You would be wise not to make this more difficult for us. The only response Will gave was a glare of defiance. Section 13. Satellite surveillance shows these, Bat-Con, have all condensed in this area. Captain Black informed the group as he pointed on a radar screen to show the tallest building in Heatherfield. Mike can't get to it since the skies are swarming with those things, but I'm willing to bet that's where the bad guys all are. And it's probably where they've taken Will as well. Jackie assumed. But why would they kidnap Will? What did they want with her? Alchemy asked. Will, not important. Uncle stated. Heart of Kandrakar is. The Shotokan could not take the heart because it is powerful good magic. And since the Shotokan are evil, they can't touch it. Terani realized. For now, Yan Lin said. With a wizard like Daolon Wang there, it may only be a matter of time until they find a spell to drain the heart of its power. Then what are we waiting for? Caleb questioned. We got the spell to stop Blunk's Shotokan, and we know where they are. Let's get going. And just how the hell are we supposed to fight an army of flying magic ninjas? Irma questioned. Not to mention Daolon Wang, Cedric, this Miranda shapeshifter, and especially Tarakudo, were each deadly a threat in their own right. Toru added. Irma's right. Hey Lin agreed. Without Will or the heart, we can't transform. We might not be able to guardian up here, but we're still packing T-power. Jade stated as Scruffy stood by her side, wagging his tail. The vault was opened up, revealing not only the previous 2 Oni masks the group had already acquired, but also the remaining 11 talismans in the center. Time to load up on some talismans. Jade said as she took off her backpack and began to empty some of its contents. I already snagged the horse talisman if anyone needs to heal up, and since Will's not here, I got some extra backup. She took out her stuffed super moose toy. Jade, that's a stuffed animal. Cornelia pointed out. Jade gave her titular scoff. Right now, she said as she pulled out the rat talisman. But add a little motion to the motionless, she put the rat talisman on her toy and it suddenly came to life. Evil on the loose, here comes Super Moose. The living stuffed toy flew all around the vault, much to most of the group's surprise. That'll work, Irma nodded. And a few extra for little Scruffy here. Jade tied a scarf around Scruffy's neck which attached the dog and monkey talismans. Jade, you're bringing Scruffy into a battle? Jackie questioned. Come on, he wants to rescue Will, too. He's part of our pack. Jade stated. Don't you boy. She patted the dog's head, prompting him to bark in confirmation. Jackie looked ready to protest, only for Uncle to deliver his titular dope slap. Do you want forces of darkness to get power of Heart of Kandrakar? No. Then we take talismans, and nobody protests. Go, take the talismans. Yan Lin told the group. Rescue Blanc and bring Will back safely. No problem, Grandma. Hey Lin said with a determined expression, one that was mirrored by the other girls. We're on it, Cornelia stated. Let's do it, Terani voiced. Let's put the hurt on M. Irma cracked her knuckles with Toru nodding in confirmation as well. I'm in too, Alchemy said as she took the rooster talisman. So am I. Caleb walked forward. Jackie nodded in acceptance. Very well, let's go. Hang on Will. Jade muttered as she held the mask removal potion in her hands. You rescued me, now it's my turn to rescue you. Back on the occupied rooftop, Will struggled with all her might against the shadow restraints, the web still covering her mouth to keep her from speaking as the villains and Bat-Con all loomed over her. She's quite the fighter, Tarakudo remarked. Daolon Wang, how is your spell coming along? Almost ready. Wang replied. For your sake wizard, this had better work. Cedric hissed. You keep magic, Blanc wants heart itself. Oni Blanc stated. My precious heart. Unbeknownst to the villains, the group consisting of Jackie, Jade, Irma, Haylin, Terani, Cornelia, Toru, Uncle, Caleb, Scruffy, and Super Moose, all hovered in the air as they held hands, with Jade holding onto Scruffy, thanks to Alchemy wielding the Rooster Talisman while Jackie held the Snake Talisman to keep the group invisible. There they are. Jackie spoke in a whisper as the group gently sat down behind a pile of stolen items. We need distraction to free Will. Uncle whispered. Even if she is bound, all she needs to do is say the words and transform, and she'll be free. Toru added. A distraction, huh? Jade asked with a sly smirk. How does a flying moose sound to you? Daolan Wang smirked. It is ready. Hold the child. Oni Blanc gave a silent command for a pair of Batcon to appear around Will and hold her up to keep her form squirming away or fighting back as Wang moved closer. Do not worry little one, your time as a guardian is nearing its end. Do. Antler action. Super Moose suddenly came flying in to sack Daolan Wang in the jaw and send him flying into a pile of treasure that fell on top of him. What in? Cedric exclaimed as he, Tarakudo, and Miranda were caught in surprise, which left them open for Uncle and Toru to quickly come rushing in, the former blasting Kai spells with his blowfish while Toru used the pig talisman to shoot heat beam eyes. These blasts forced many of the villains back, and even blasted away many of the Batcon. Caleb also managed to get the drop on a pair of Batcon with his katana to destroy them easily enough. Even Alchemy used the Rooster Talisman to telekinetically pick up several of the stolen items and use them as weapons to throw at all the villains, including Oni Blanc. This proved to be a sufficient distraction for Jackie, and the other girls to come sweeping in to take down the Batcon guarding the bound Will. With a series of quick punches and kicks, both Batcon were down for the count. Will, Jackie said as the group, including Scruffy, got around her. I'm sorry, but this will hurt. He grabbed the webbing over his mouth and tried to yank it off in one swift move. Ow! Will exclaimed as she felt the sting. You guys came. Hey, it's what best friends do, right? Jade smiled as Scruffy came up to lick Will's face. Will laughed at the licks before smiling back. Right, even though she was still bound, she could still access the heart's power and say the magic words. Guardians unite. The villains' attention was drawn by the bright pink flash that they all recognized. No, Cedric exclaimed. Oh yes. Caleb smirked, along with Uncle, Toru, Alchemy, and Super Moose. That is one super transformation. Super Moose exclaimed with a smile. Once the flash subsided, Will, Jade, Irma, Haylin, Cornelia, and Terani had all transformed into J, which is Jackie and Scruffy stood by their sides. Tarakudo growled in annoyance. Blanc, time for reinforcements. Come to Blanc, Shotokan. Oni Blanc raised his fists into the air as he summoned more than 20 Batcon total that surrounded the entire rooftop. Do not let them steal the precious treasures. With that order, the Batcon were on the attack. Jade, you and will get that mask off Blanc. Jackie told them. Everyone else, we'll deal with the Shotokan and the others. Got it. Everyone nodded in agreement as Terani, Cornelia, Irma, and Haylin all flew into the air alongside Super Moose to take on the horde of Batcon while Jackie, with the Rabbit Talisman, Alchemy with the Rooster Talisman, Uncle, Caleb, and Toru with the Pig Talisman, engaged with the villains and other Batcon that were still on the rooftop. Please tell me you got that mask removal potion. Will said to Jade, who responded with her titular scoff. You know me better than that. Jade smirked as she showed the vial before pouring the potion onto her hands, which immediately surged with green magic. Both girls nodded as they flew towards Oni Blanc. Tarakudo was about to move in to intercept the two guardians, only for several objects to be thrown at him. Though these objects literally flew right through him, it was enough to get his attention as Alchemy hovered in front of him with the Rooster Talisman in hand. Hey, why don't you pick on someone with your own kind of power? Alchemy challenged. The Oni King smirked in acceptance. Bring it on, my young foe. Tarakudo then pitted his own telekinetic powers against that of the Rooster Talisman wielded by Alchemy. Likewise, Cedric also tried to move in and stop Will and Jade, only for Scruffy to get in his way and growl at him. Cedric however chuckled in amusement. And what can vermin like you do to stop me? Scruffy growled as he accessed the power of the monkey talisman to transform into a direwolf, much to Cedric's shock. Direwolf Scruffy snarled before leaping up onto Cedric, pinning him down as he tried to bite onto Cedric's throat. His thick, snake-like skin kept him protected for the most part, but it still hurt. Good dog. Jade smirked as she and will soon came to face with Oni Blanc. No. You will not take mask. It is my precious. Oni Blanc said before leaping up from his pile of trinkets and treasure to try and bring his enormous arms down onto the two girls, but they flew into the air to avoid the impact. Great, he's like Gollum mixed with King Kong. Will muttered. I just need to get right up to his face. Jade stated. Then let's go. Will said before they both flew back in to engage the pasling turned Oni. Back in the air, Heylin flew as she had a trio of Bat-Con right at her heels. She quickly flew down along the side of the building before quickly turning around to blow a gust of wind so powerful that it sent all three of them flying and crashing into the building's wall, destroying them upon impact. She flew back up to help the rest of her friends as she saw Terani generating a pair of flame-like wheels around her body, which she expanded to create a powerful vortex of flame, engulfing and incinerating any Bat-Con that tried to get too close to her. Irma shot her hands forward to blast a surge of water that obliterated one Bat-Con, but three more flew around it to try and get to her, forcing Irma to fly down and avoid them as they tried to launch beams of dark magic from their hands at her, but she proved quick enough to avoid most of them as she spun around to make a series of finger guns which she shot at the Bat-Con in retaliation. Cornelia flew around the air to avoid the blasts from a group of 5 Bat-Con before landing on a nearby rooftop and using her powers to pull chunks of the roof off, which she sent flying at the Bat-Con. The front 2 were obliterated on impact, but the remaining 3 avoided them as they flew closer toward her, however. Do. A familiar voice sung out as Super Moose flew in like a bullet to destroy all 3 Bat-Con in one strike. Ninja knockout. Saved by a stuffed moose, Cornelia commented with a perplexed expression. What is my life coming to? Back on the rooftop, Jackie ran at super speeds thanks to the rabbit talisman, avoiding the blasts of shadow magic from the Bat-Con above him, while also weaving around the wizard duel taking place between Uncle and Daolon Wang. He quickly made his way to a pile of treasure and used super speed to grab each object and throw it at a speed equivalent to a Gatling gun, obliterating a group of 10 Bat-Con in one sitting. 6 tried to ambush him from behind, but 3 of them were shot down by Toru with his heat beam eyes, courtesy of the pig talisman, prompting the remaining 3 to fly toward him, which he quickly dealt with his own physical strength. Caleb swung down his katana to cut down one Bat-Con before thrusting the blade behind him to impale the another that tried to ambush him from behind, but that Bat-Con proved to be a mere distraction as Miranda shot some webbing at his back to try and pull him down as she leapt at him, but Caleb swung his blade at her, forcing her to dodge as she missed and rolled along the ground. She tried to spit some more webbing at him, forcing Caleb to defend himself with his katana to block and slice the webbing away. At the same time, Alchemy tried to press her talisman powers at Tarakudo, but he seemed to be pushing back with even greater force. Come on, Alchemy muttered. Tarakudo only gave a slight tisk in amusement. Amateur. He gave a big enough physic blast that broke through Alchemy's talisman power and sent her rolling across the ground. Foolish child. I am the king of the Shotokan. I've had hundreds of years of experience with my power, you've only had the talisman for 5 minutes. Yeah, but you know what else I got? Alchemy asked as she reached into her pocket. A fresh onion with your name on it. She threw said vegetable at Tarakudo's face. Already, Tarakudo screamed in pain as he scrunched his eyes closed, shedding tears of green energy. Ah, my eyes. My eyes. He vanished away from the scene, causing Alchemy to sigh in relief. Cedric had managed to pick up Scruffy, still in the form of a direwolf, and threw him high into the air, but Scruffy had then taken the form of a bird that flew back down toward Cedric before morphing into the form of a lion that pounced and bit onto Cedric's shoulder, causing him to roar in pain before he swiped his arm to knock Scruffy off. Once he was on the ground, Scruffy then changed his shape to that of a rhino and charged Cedric, ramming him in the chest and forcing the humanoid snake to try and press his strength against his, but it seemed Rhino Scruffy was far stronger as he trampled all over Cedric. Oni Blanc threw a punch out, which smashed away a pile of stolen treasures and jewels, as Will had flew into the air to avoid said punch before coming down to try and re-engage him, using the self-defense moves Jackie taught her, and her own enhanced strength as a guardian, to block and parry Oni Blanc's strikes. This appeared to leave him open for Jade, who created a whip made of shadows, which she threw out to ensnare Oni Blanc's feet and trip him up, prompting Will to leap onto him and keep him pinned to the ground. Jade, any time now. Will tried her best to keep Oni Blanc pinned. I got ya. Jade had already flown into Oni Blanc's face and grabbed him with her hands still surging with the mask removal spell as she tried to yank off the mask with Will holding Blanc back. No, you can't take mask from Blanc. Mask precious. Precious mask. Oni Blanc screamed and struggled. Sorry. But I prefer the small, good you. Jade stated as she heaved with all her strength and was able to yank the mask off Blanc's face, causing her to slide on her back. She then held up the separated mask. I got it, she shouted victoriously. With the mask removed, every single Bat-Con in the area vanished completely, including those that had Super Moose and the rest of the Guardians surrounded in the air, along with those that Jackie, Toru, and Caleb were engaging. This also served as a good distraction for Daolan Wang, whom Uncle blasted back with Kai magic, sending him skidding back toward Miranda and Cedric. The three villains looked with genuine concern as Jackie, Jade, Irma, Heylin, Cornelia, and Terani, along with Toru, Uncle, Caleb, Alchemy, and Super Moose all glaring at them, and even Scruff in the form of a tiger, who snarled at the villains as well. Cedric hissed in defeat. Another time. Daolan Wang then waved his scepter, creating another smokescreen of dark magic to engulf himself, Cedric, and Miranda before all three vanished. Good riddance. Terani muttered before everyone turned their attention toward Will, who held the unconscious Blanc in her arms, his body having been turned back to normal the second the mask was removed. Is he okay? Heylin asked. Yeah, he's just out of it. Will assured as Blanc's eyes slowly opened. Blanc's head feel fuzzy, the dizzy Pasling rubbed his head. Blanc did bad things to friends, didn't he? Hey, it wasn't your fault, Blanc. Alchemy told him. Yeah, it was this thing. Jade held up the Oni mask, causing Blanc to give a scream as he climbed over Will and cowered behind her back. Keep mask away from Blanc. Don't worry, we won't let it near you. Heylin told him. Yes, that is going straight to the vault in section 13. Jackie said. No arguments here. Caleb agreed as the group got back together. Teamwork makes the dream work. Super Moose announced as he flew in the air in celebration. Scruffy, who had turned back into his normal dog form, gave a bark as all the girls gathered around him to give appreciative pets and hugs. Can we keep him, Jackie? Please. Jade asked as she and everyone else all gave puppy dog pouts. He's practically part of the W.I.T.C.H team now. He actually does seem to be able to hold his own in a fight. Caleb put in. I'm rather fond of dogs myself, so I don't really mind. Toru said. Uncle. Jackie looked toward his uncle as he seemed to have the final word. Dogs not allowed in shop. Uncle reminded, but before any of the girls could protest, Uncle gave a slight grin. But, landlord say pets okay in apartment. Jackie then smiled as he turned toward the girls. Jade, if he stays with us, you are responsible for feeding and making sure he goes out on plenty of walks. Done. Jade smiled. And, after we've taken him to the shelter to make sure he gets all his shots, Jackie continued. Since the rest of you are so fond of him, you all have to help Jade train him. That was all they needed for the 7 girls to share elated smiles with each other. We can totally do that. Will smiled. You hear that, boy? Who's part of W.I.T.C.H? You are. Yes, you are. Cornelia gushed as all the girls gathered around Scruffy to shower him with pure love and affection, which he was more than happy to return with barks and licks of his own. The men around them couldn't help but share smiles at this exchange, all except for a certain Pasling. Why girls not so loving with Blanc? Because you smell worse than the old man's garlic breath. Caleb replied. Lots of garlic is good for you. Uncle chastised as Jackie and Toru exchanged smiles while the latter shook his head in amusement. Gladiatorial clash. The group of girls consisting of Jade, Will, Terani, Cornelia, and Alchemy walked down the streets of Heatherfield when Heylin and Irma caught up to them. Hey, where are y'all going? Irma asked. Pet store. Jade answered. Gotta get some dog food for Scruffy. And I'm getting Caleb's bird thing some seed. Cornelia added. I didn't know Caleb had a bird. Alchemy said. Is it like a hawk or a falcon? He seems like the type. Neither. Cornelia answered. It's more like some kind of magic parrot from Meridian that can repeat anything it hears. Yeah, and he traded Blanc a flashlight for it. Terani added. Lin gave a swoony sigh. When a girl gets seed for her boy's bird, I call it love. It takes all of you to go buy pet food. Irma questioned somewhat skeptically. Did you know Matt's grandfather owns the pet store? Will told them. And, sometimes Matt stops by. Ooh. Virtually all the girls said at the same time, with Jade playfully nudging her best friend's side. You so got the hots for me. Speaking of, when are you gonna get a boyfriend, Jade? Cornelia asked. Jade shrugged. Not interested. Why? 'Cause your last boyfriend turned out to be a demon. Cornelia teased. No, but now that I think about it, I think Demon Boy would be perfect for you. Jade teased back. You're both pushy, scrawny, self-obsessed, and downright evil. Ouch. Alchemy snickered while everyone else laughed, save for Cornelia who merely grumbled. It wasn't long before the girls arrived at the pet store, which was considerably small, having cages and pens for at least one of every type of animals. From dogs to rabbits to aquariums with different types of fish, to even snakes, birds, and even certain insects and arachnids. As the girls looked around, Terani noticed that one glass terrarium next to her had a rather large spider in it. Ew. Terani, tarantula, you could be related. Irma teased. Well, I wouldn't want a spider either. Jade added. Mostly cause I'm still not over the time Phobos shrank us and put us in a glass jar with one. And the fact that one of his buddies is a shape-shifting spider girl doesn't help either. Alchemy also added. Hello, Mr. Olsen. Will called out. However, Jade suddenly felt a chill down her spine. Guys, before anyone else could address her, the door behind them suddenly closed with the blinders for the windows closing as well. All the cages and pens for the animals opened up around them, further putting the girls on alarm. Mr. Olsen. Lin called out to the shop owner, only for her and everyone else to gasp at the sight of the unconscious elderly man floating in the air. Behind him however appeared to be the being who was responsible for all this, someone they clearly did not expect. Elion. Cornelia and Alchemy exclaimed as they saw the transparent figure of their best friend Meridian Princess. I wanted you all to see what I've been learning. Alchemy stated as a series of powerful psychic waves, which belonged to someone else that Jade recognized with gasp, which began to shake up the entire shop as if it were hit with a powerful earthquake. All the animals seemed to go crazy from this sudden shake-up and spread even further chaos through the store as each of the girls fell on their rears or backs onto the ground. Goodbye, friends. Just as quickly as she appeared, Elion had suddenly vanished, and all the chaos in the store had died down, save for the animals that were loose outside in their pens. Once she vanished, Mr. Olsen appeared to have woken up. What in? Holy mackerel, what happened? He looked around to find the state his shop was in. Why are they all out of their cages? He questioned as he picked himself up. Can I get a hand here, girls? As the girls tried to collect themselves and help straighten out the shop, Cornelia and Alchemy exchanged concerned glances while Jade had a suspicious expression on her face. Nice try, but you can't pull a one-over on me, Tarakudo. Just outside the shop in the back alley, the ghostly figure that bore the resemblance of Elion smirked evilly as it revealed its true form as the floating spirit head that was the king of the Shotokan. That oughta shake up their friendship a bit. Tarakudo chuckled at his own joke as he looked toward the back wall and began to telekinetically carve his symbol into it in order to begin generating a portal that would take him to the Shadow Realm and then back to Meridian. However, Tarakudo didn't appear to notice that someone was right behind him on the rooftop of the pet shop. After escaping prison, Hakufu decided to cut his ties with Valmont as his former employer's only focus seemed to be money, which was of little interest to the Black Tiger. So instead, Hakufu decided to stalk the girls he knew wear the civilian identities of the Guardians, hoping that they might incidentally lead him toward a way to obtain magical powers and become stronger. Once he saw Tarakudo's work in the pet shop at play, his interest was piqued. Right as the black swirling portal was created, Tarakudo floated directly into it, right before Hakufu himself leapt from the rooftop and fell directly into the portal, just before it closed. Meridian. Tarakudo entered Phobos' throne room through the walls, where the Dark Prince himself, along with Daolon Wang and Cedric, in his humanoid serpent form, all waited for him. Well, Phobos questioned. It worked almost perfectly. Tarakudo smirked. Sowing distrust between former friends always makes quite a show. Even if they don't fall for it, this will bring maybe one or two of the guardians that are closest to Elion to us, in an attempt to sway her. Cedric hissed sadistically. Thus, giving us the means to divide the guardians, making it easier to crush them. Daolan Wang snickered. The group heard the doors beginning to open as Cedric quickly turned into his human form. Tarakudo merged in a stained glass window, and Phobos threw up the illusion for his throne room just as Elion and the Dark Kai enforcers all walked in. Elion, what can I do for you, dear sister? Phobos offered. I've just been kind of wondering what's been going with all the extra patrols. Elion said. It's kind of putting everyone on edge. Princess, you are a target for the rebellion, and their leader is not one to give up so easily. Cedric answered. There is also the matter of your friends, under the influence of the heart of Kandrakar. Daolan Wang added. So extra precautions are necessary. But you need not worry, Elion. Phobos assured his younger sister. I give you my word, you are completely safe. Isn't that correct? He directed his question to the enforcers, sending a subtle glare their way, which Elion didn't appear to notice. Yeah, totally safe. Finn quickly said. No bad guys ain't gonna touch this princess. Chao added. Cross our hearts and hope too, Ratso began to say, however. A sudden and familiar yell was heard as Hawk Fu suddenly burst down into the throne room from the ceiling before landing on his feet and one hand on the ground. Nobody quite had the time to react as Hawk Fu leapt into the air again, his target being the Dark Kai enforcers as Finn pulled the surprised Elion away. Flying elephant stomps rat. Hawk Fu literally crushed Ratso upon landing, causing him to vanish in a puff of dark smoke. An intruder. Daolan Wang exclaimed in surprise. Guards. To the throne room. Immediately. Phobos ordered as he quickly made his way to the ground and moved in front of his frightened sister. Hawk Fu. Chao exclaimed before putting on an innocent act. What brings you to this side of the cosmos? Hawk Fu's only response was him grabbing Chao. Woodchuck Chuck's weasel. Hawk Fu threw Chao across the throne room, causing him to puff away in smoke upon crashing into the wall just as a dozen guards entered the throne room. Cedric, escort Elion to safety. Now. Phobos ordered his right hand. Right away. Cedric had already begun to lead Elion away. Follow me, princess. Phobos. Elion was more than a little worried as she was escorted out. Don't worry, I can handle this. Just go. Phobos assured as Elion had left. Once she was gone, Phobos, Daolan Wang, and even Tarakudo, who had come out of his hiding spot, began to watch with interest as Hawk Fu dispensed with Phobos guards rather easily. Charging Rhino flattens Gazelle. Hawk Fu charged and headbutted one guard to send him flying away. Stubborn mule kick. He performed a hand stance to deliver an upside-down split kick to the heads of two more guards before spinning his feet around like a helicopter blade. Spinning eagle talons. This move easily dispatched the remainder of the guards as the villainous trio looked more intrigued. Most impressive. Daolan Wang stroked his beard with an intrigued smirk. He must have followed me from Earth through the Shadow Realm. Not an easy feat for the ordinarily mortal. Even Tarakudo was impressed. And he was able to infiltrate my castle on his own without even setting the alarm. Phobos smirked as well. Yes, most impressive indeed. With all the guards dealt with, Hawk Fu approached his only remaining obstacle. Dude. Finn urged him. You're making us Ukul Adbi in front of the Osespi. He said in pig Latin, but Hawk Fu wasn't interested. Shark bites bottom feeder. He lunged and delivered a powerful strike that caused Finn to vanish like the rest of his companions before turning toward the villainous trio, Phobos specifically. I understand that you are the main adversary to Chan and the Guardians, Dark Prince. Hawk Fu spoke to Phobos as he approached him. Allow me to suggest you end your conflict against them, as they are foes that I intend to slay. He was about to strike Phobos as a warning, but Phobos had already grabbed him with his magic and pinned him to a nearby pillar as the prince chuckled with amusement. Then by all means, O mighty warrior, slay them, for us. Phobos gave an evil grin as he turned to his wizard companion with a nod. Daolan Wang then aimed his staff and blasted a dark Kai magic surge at Hawk Fu, which began to engulf him in dark energy as a familiar mark was etched on his forehead. Meanwhile, Caleb and Aldarn, hid in the swamp below the castle, just outside the main wall as they looked up the massive stone obstacle to see if the coast appeared clear, which it did. Caleb also carried with him the bird that Cornelia had described. "Show him the crackers," Caleb told Aldarn, who pulled out some crackers from his sack, which the bird attempted to eat, but Aldarn pulled them away. "Not yet," Caleb told the bird. "Over the wall, then crackers. Now go observe," he ordered the bird, before sending it to fly over the wall. Caleb and Aldarn waited a few hours before the bird returned and repeated what it heard from the guards. An intruder entered the castle. "Double the patrols. Phobos, orders." Someone else broke into the castle. Aldarn questioned. Whoever it was, they weren't from the rebellion. Caleb groaned in annoyance while handing a cracker to the bird for its reward. "With doubled patrols, it'll be that much harder to enter the castle. But maybe the bird can get a closer look than we can," Aldarn suggested. "Observe," Phobos told the bird before sending it back up. "We've got to find Phobos and his friends' plans for Elion. If I could just get a timetable, a location, anything." Suddenly, a light flashed on them, causing them both to gasp in alarm. Only for it to turn into annoyance as it was revealed to be Blunk with a flashlight. "Blunk here. Brought crackers for Birdie." Blunk walked to the pair, right before Caleb took the flashlight away to avoid their location being revealed to the enemy. He then took the sack that Blunk had and looked inside, only to find nothing. "It's empty. Blunk get hungry too." The pasling smiled innocently. Meanwhile, within the castle's library, Daolan Wang had returned a certain golden book to its shelf as he appeared alone, with Phobos, Cedric, and Tarakudo discussing their next move in the throne room. "My new warrior shall make it easier to dispense of the Chan, the Guardians, and any other annoyances that might barred my way." Daolan Wang spoke to himself as he placed a spell over the golden book, causing it to change appearance from golden to a normal book. "The Book of Secrets, once thought to be a myth, and now in my possession. Whatever that fool has planned for his sister, is nothing compared to what I've devised. Though the king of the Shotokan's appearance and conversion with Phobos is unexpected, it's not without a solution." He chuckled as he left the library, not appearing to notice a familiar bird that hung over the chandelier on the ceiling. Earth. Uncle's rare finds. After getting the pet shop straightened out, the girls all returned to the Chan's family shop where they told Jackie, Uncle, Toru, and even Yan Lin, what had happened. "Elion attacked you," Jackie exclaimed in surprise. "Yeah, completely out of nowhere," Hey Lin stated. "She was all, Princess of Evil, on us. Maybe she was under some kind of spell," Cornelia said, trying to stand up for her friend. "Probably, except that wasn't Elion," Jade stated, getting everyone's attention. "What?" Alchemy questioned. "How do you know?" Irma also asked. "Call it a gut feeling," Jade explained. "And my gut's telling me, that was really Tarakudo." "Well, it would explain everything flying around. We'll seem to understand. We have seen Tarakudo do that kind of thing before. But why would Tarakudo take the appearance of Elion? What does he have to gain from this?" Toru asked. "To sow distrust," Uncle assumed. "By making it seem that Elion has fully committed herself to the forces of darkness, it will be easier to make her a clear enemy." "Well, wouldn't be the first time he's tried that," Terani said, glancing toward Jade, who looked down with an expression of regret over her actions as the queen of the Shotokan, while putting a gentle hand on her best friend's shoulder for comfort. "That floating head punk has got a lot of nerve pulling a stunt like that." Alchemy growled, not happy about the idea of Tarakudo using the image of her best friend to frame her. "So, let's go to Meridian and try to talk to Elion," Cornelia suggested, only to get smacked on the forehead by Uncle. "Ow. We cannot charge into Domain of Evil so recklessly," Uncle chastised. "That is precisely what Phobos and other villains want. So, what? We just leave Elion? Forget about her?" Cornelia questioned. "Cornelia, I understand your concerns, but Uncle is right," Jackie told the blonde in a calm and rational tone. "We can't afford to act rashly. We need to remain calm about how we proceed." "I agree with Jackie," Yan Lin said. "An opportunity to tell Elion the truth will present itself, but we must be patient." "Sorry Cornelia, Even will agree. But I gotta go with Jackie and Miss Lin on this. I get it, she's your best friend, but remember what happened last time we tried something like that?" "I do." Hey Lin raised her hand. We got shrunk down and almost eaten by a giant spider. And after that, we had that whole mess with Elions, ghosts, and we still couldn't find the real one. Terani added. Yeah, not in the mood to charge head on into the lion's den. Irma said. At least not without a plan. Jade commented. That's pretty ironic coming from you. Alchemy said to her. Yeah well, I learned. Jade replied. Cornelia couldn't help but sigh as everyone around her came to the same agreement, and she couldn't change their minds. However, that didn't mean she was entirely satisfied with it. Meridian. After finding what appeared to be a hole in the castle's defenses, Caleb, Aldarn, and Blanc had snuck into the courtyard, trying to find a way deeper into the castle. Alright everyone, stay on guard. Caleb told the duo. Keep an eye out for anything that moves. Anything that looks like a person or a face, a statue, a painting, anything like that. Good plan. A dark and familiar voice said as the king of the Shotokan emerged from ground behind them, much to their shock. Expect I'm not entirely limited to stuff like that. Ah. Floating head thing. Blanc screamed before Tarakudo unleashed a psychic wave to blast all three of them back, right before the alarm was sounded and guards began to mobilize. So, that's Tarakudo. Aldarn asked with a groan as they pulled themselves up. Yeah. Caleb confirmed as they made a run for it. Yeah, floating head, way scarier than Phobos. Aldarn said as they tried to run up the stairs to the outer wall, avoiding the arrows shot in their direction, as well as the small psychic blasts that Tarakudo sent their way. The trio was already on the wall but found themselves cornered in all directions from the guards, with Tarakudo himself hovering above them. Caleb drew his katana, ready for a fight. Blanc, throw the onions. Onion. Blanc blinked nervously. The onions I told you to bring with the bird crackers. Caleb exclaimed. Oh, Blanc did say Blanc was hungry. Onions taste good with crackers so, Blanc gave a nervous chuckle. Caleb groaned in annoyance. Oh for the love of. Suddenly, he, Aldarn, and Blanc were pulled up into the air with Tarakudo's telekinetic powers. Well, it's been nice having you over boys. Tarakudo remarked. But next time, call first. He then sent all three of them flying away from the castle with a burst of his powers. Meanwhile, from a higher balcony of the castle, Daolan Wang watched with amusement as he saw the whole spectacle. But, looked in surprise to see a familiar bird attempting to fly in the same direction he saw the rebels fly in. Recognizing this type of bird, Wang grabbed it from the air with dark magic and pulled it close to him as the bird spoke. Whatever that fool has planned for his sister, is nothing compared to what I've devised. The bird said in a squawk, causing Wang to gasp slightly as he recognized those words from his own mouth. Clever, little rebel. Wang growled. But I cannot have you reveal any secrets. He then blasted the bird with his scepter, killing it in an instant. Only one thing shall ever know my secrets. What about Birdie? Blanc asked as he, Aldarn, and Caleb made it back to the portal, further away from the castle. It'll return to the village. Caleb answered. I'm going to Earth to get supplies. If it says anything about Phobos' plans for Elion, I need to hear it. He briefly shook Aldarn's hand before entering the portal, while Blanc and Aldarn ran back toward the village. Why did you not capture the rebels, Tarakudo? Phobos questioned as he sat on his throne, with the Oni King floating slightly above him, and Cedric right by his side. I know you have the power to do so. Because this will help to further persuade a guardian to come. Tarakudo remarked. Any single guardian, even one who doesn't bear the heart, will be a more valuable prisoner, and that much easier to bring down the others. But in order to fully commit Elion to our side, I think it's time that she understands just how evil the rebellion truly is. Cedric hissed, causing Phobos and Tarakudo to share malevolent smirks, catching his hint. Elion wandered around the castle's library, looking for something that might elevate her boredom. However, her attention was caught on a nearby bookshelf as she saw one of the books look almost odd. To an ordinary person, it was a normal book, but with her own growing magic powers, she was able to see something of a pulsating dark energy around it, which appeared to be some form of concealment spell. Huh, what do we have here? She wondered aloud as she touched the energy, taping a bit of her magic onto it, which cleared away the illusion to reveal the Golden Book of Secrets, much to her surprise. Whoa! Curiosity taking hold, Elion took the book from the shelf and began to inspect it. When she tried to open it, she found herself unable to as it appeared to be sealed shut, even though there was no lock on it. Even though she was unable to open it, Elion took the book to her bedroom, if only to admire the shiny gold cover. Cornelia would love this. Gold's her favorite, however, upon recalling her best friend, she gave a sad sigh. "I wish you here with me," she said as she looked at her sketchbook. Elion. She turned to her open doorway to see both her brother, as well as Miranda. "I apologize for what happened earlier. Are you alright?" "I'm fine, Phobos," Elion said as she got up from her bed. "Who is that guy anyway?" "Someone from the rebellion," Phobos lied. "But he's been dealt with, so don't worry." "That's good." Elion was indeed relieved, but that relief didn't last long as she looked down in sadness. "I miss my friends." Phobos kneeled closer to her level as he appeared to give her a comforting expression. "And I am sincerely sorry that it's taking me so long to help them. Their powers, as well as their corrupted state, has made it challenging. Finding a method to subdue them without harming them, while also doing my best to ensure my own soldiers aren't harmed either hasn't been easy. Is there anything I can do?" Elion asked. "Daolan Wang has taught me so much, and I've got better control with my magic, and it's only grown stronger." "Of that, I don't doubt," Phobos replied. "But still, you must be careful. Even with your powers, the rebellion is crafty. They'll find a way to get to you, so you must be careful. What is most important, is that you do not let your power go to your head and make reckless mistakes. I've made more than my fair share in my youth." Though saddened, Elion understood what her brother was saying and trusted him for it. "Alright. But still, if there's anything I can do, you'll be the first to know, I promise," Phobos assured. "Hey Elion, you know what might cheer you up?" Miranda offered. "How about we go explore the village?" "Really? Is that alright, Phobos?" Elion asked. "So long as you stay with Miranda," Phobos assured. "I'll even have Cedric accompany you. Just be sure you don't wander off on your own." "Okay. Thanks." Elion gave her brother a brief hug before Miranda took her hand and led her away. Once they were out of earshot, Daolan Wang approached from behind with a group of Lurdans behind him. "You know what to do." "Of course." Daolan Wang sneered as he turned around and aimed his scepter at the Lurdans, casting a dark illusion over them that made them take the appearance of soldiers of the rebellion. Earth. Sheffield Institute. Cornelia opened up her locker to pull out a photograph of herself, Elion, and Alchemy. "Will and Jackie are not going to stop me from seeing Elion," she muttered to herself. Cornelia. Alchemy called to her as she, Will, Irma, Hey Lin, and Terani all came around the corner, each with their own set of gym clothes. "What are you waiting for? Gym starts in 5. "Oh no," Cornelia feigned ignorance. "You know what? I forgot my gym clothes at home. Take whatever you need from our lockers," Terani offered. "Yeah, you know the combos. Borrow anything I've got," Will said as she and the other girls left for the gymnasium. "Okay, I will." Cornelia smirked as she opened up Will's locker first to pull out the heart of Kandrakar. "Okay, what was the spell Miss Lin taught us?" she muttered as she looked around the hallway and saw the coast was clear. "Oh right, Sporg Lartza." With those two words, an identical astral drop of Cornelia materialized right in front of her. "Wow, so that's how the astral drop spell works. Cool," Jade said from behind with a smirk. "I know, Jade," Cornelia replied, before her eyes widened in shock as she turned around in surprise. "Jade, what are you?" Suddenly, the astral drop of Cornelia vanished, much to Cornelia's shock. "Where'd she go?" Jade gave a slight scoff. "'Cause when a guardian says, astral drop, they go away. Miss Lin taught us that, duh." "Yeah, but, forget it, what the heck are you doing?" Cornelia questioned. "I could be asking you the same thing," Jade replied, "but I already know. You're gonna sneak off to Meridian and try to talk to Elion, right?" Cornelia scowled as she made no attempt to deny it. "Don't try and stop me, Jade." "Who's trying to stop you?" "I'm coming with you," Jade revealed, much to Cornelia's surprise. "I might not be as close to Elion as you are, but she's my friend too. Plus, I can be extra handy since I get the willies now every time Mr. Oniking is around. And besides, I snuck into Phobos Castle when this whole mess started. And do you even have a plan as to how you get in?" "Well, Cornelia tried to come up with an explanation. No plan, huh? Jade crossed her arms with lowered eyelids. Well, good thing I got this. Jade presented the snake talisman. The perfect sneak in magic tool. Why do you even have the talismans? Cornelia asked. You're a guardian now, it's not like you need them. Well, since alchemy's getting involved, figured to have them handy just in case. Jade answered. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get going. Be sure to create an astral drop of me, while you're at it. Cornelia still didn't appear to be completely over her shock at Jade actually volunteering to go with her. But then again, this is Jade they were talking about. Jade, listen. I get we're not BFFs or anything, I mean not as close as you and Lore, but, thanks. She said with a small smile. No problem. Jade said. And we are friends. She assured before a serious look formed on her face. Which is why, the second I get the willies, or we end up running into any other bad guy, we bolt. I know you wanna talk to Cornelia, but we can't exactly do that if we're dead. Deal. Cornelia nodded as she held out the heart of Kandrakar again. Sporg Lartza. This time, astral drop duplicates of both Jade and Cornelia appeared in front of both of them. Okay, follow these instructions. Cornelia addressed her own astral drop as she handed her a list. It's like, what I know and how to behave and stuff. And don't tell our friends anything. What do I do? The astral drop of Jade asked as Jade herself began to address her. Just the same thing, Jade said before whispering into her ear as she slid a small note in her sweatshirt pocket. Give that to Uncle Jackie when you see him. There's also a photo of him if you forget what he looks like. The astral drop nodded as the real Jade gave a wink. This is so much better than when I used that duplication spell on me. Cornelia had also taken out the magic map from Will's locker and shined the heart of Kandrakar over it and managed to find a portal, identified by a glowing red X. Looks like we got a portal. Jade observed. Better hold onto this too, just in case. Cornelia put the map and heart away as she addressed her astral drop and put on a coat of lipstick as her double did the same, almost like she was looking into a mirror. Earth to Cornelia, kinda in a hurry here. Jade urged. You can't rush perfection, Cornelia said as she put her lipstick away. I'm not rushing perfection, I'm rushing you. Jade joked. Ha. Cornelia laughed in clear sarcasm as she took Jade's hand, allowing them both to turn invisible as the latter held the snake talisman. Both girls, still remaining invisible, walked through the streets of Heatherfield, toward the destination where the map said the portal would be when the heart of Kandrakar began to pulsate in Cornelia's pocket, much to the blonde's frustration. I don't think it likes you. Jade made another joke, which Cornelia ignored as she tried to speak to the heart itself. Look, I know I'm not Will, but you gotta stop with the sound. Why'd you even bring it anyway? Jade asked. Will's the only one who can use it to transform the rest of us. I know, but who knows, maybe we can use it. Cornelia said. Or maybe we could practically drop it directly into Phobos' grubby hands, making it impossible for our friends to transform and rescue us if we get caught. Jade said in a matter-of-factly tone. And I'm telling you from experience, more than half the time I sneak in with the bad guys, I get caught. Jackie's still got the moves, even without magic. Cornelia argued. Look, we're not gonna pick a fight with anyone, and you said you can get us into the castle, right? We'll sneak in, find Elion, tell her what's going on, grab her and get out before Phobos or Tarakudo know what's up. Fine, but if we get caught, it's your fault. Jade said as the invisible duo rounded the corner and into an alleyway to find the portal they were searching for. These are your friends. Don't let them see these cards. Astral Drop Cornelia read her instructions aloud, which also carried a photograph of her friends. She turned it over to reveal another set of instructions, with a photograph of Uncle on it. This is Uncle, do not go near him under any circumstances. He'll probably figure you out and smack me. Also, his breath stinks. Astral Drop Jade also looked at the note she had, which had a picture of her Uncle Jackie on it, with a set of instructions on the photo. This is Uncle Jackie. When you see him, give him this. Cornelia, Jade. Both astral drops turned around to see Will and the others approach them. Will, they both said at the same time. What happened? You guys missed Jim. Irma told them. Yes, we did. Astral Drop Cornelia said. Where can I find Uncle Jackie? Astral Drop Jade asked the group. I am supposed to give him something. This only caused the girls to look at each other with confusion. Meridian. Elion walked through the town along with Cedric, Miranda, and even the Dark Kai enforcers acting as her bodyguards. This is a nice change of pace. Elion said. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the castle, but it's nice to step outside. Yeah, really stuffy in there, Chow commented. Help. All of them were on alert as they saw a guard quickly run toward them. The rebels. They've started a fire. What? Elion questioned in surprise as Cedric stepped up, appearing to take command. You three, stay with the princess and Miranda. Cedric instructed the enforcers. I will deal with this. He then addressed the guard. Take me to the rebels. They quickly ran off in the direction where smoke was coming from. Wait. Elion was about to follow him, but Miranda stopped her. Cedric knows what he's doing. Just trust him, Miranda told her. With great reluctance, Elion stayed behind. I can't believe the rebels would go this far. Elion muttered as her fists clenched, all the while the enforcers looked toward each other with expressions of guilt and uncertainty. Earth. Uncle's rare finds. Caleb had a map laid out on the table for Jackie, Toru, Yanlin, and Uncle to see, which appeared to identify what he knew of Phobos Castle. Alright, Elion's room is in this tower. Caleb pointed to the map. It's one of the centermost towers in the castle, and the most difficult to get to, unless you can fly. But with someone like Tarakudo or even Daolon Wang, flying there would be a difficult task. Toru commented. Due to the many times Phobos Castle has been infiltrated, he and his allies have taken every precaution necessary to ensure that another such an infiltration is no longer possible. Uncle said. What about this area right here? Jackie asked, pointing toward what appeared to be some kind of arena on the map. It seems the least guarded. That's Phobos Arena, Caleb described with a low growl. Here he has prisoners and monsters fight each other for his entertainment. It might be the least guarded, but only because so many of his troops go there, so there isn't that much of a need to guard it. As the group began to think, they heard the shop's bell ring as the girls all came in through the front door. Guys, something's off with Cornelia and Jade. Alchemy stated. They're not acting like themselves. What do you mean? Caleb asked as he and the others looked with concern. Astral Drop Cornelia looked at her set of instructions. I like shopping. That kind of weird. Irma pointed out. That is because this is not really Jade and Cornelia. These are their astral drops. Yanlin spoke, much to everyone's surprise. Astral Drop Jade looked toward her note with a photograph of Jackie attached to it. Are you Uncle Jackie? She asked the man whose appearance was identical to that on the photo. Yes. Jackie nodded with uncertainty. I am supposed to give this to you. Astral Drop Jade handed Jackie the note, which Jackie took and began to read aloud. Dear Uncle Jackie, if you're reading this, it means you found mine and Cornelia's clones. We went to Meridian to try and find Elion. Well, Cornelia, knowing her, was gonna go anyway, so I went with her to make sure she doesn't bite off more than she can chew. Don't worry, I took the snake talisman to make it easier to sneak in. But if you don't hear from us in 2 hours from when you read this, assume we've been captured. I know you're probably disappointed as you told us all to wait, but Cornelia was probably going to do something like this, and I probably couldn't stop her unless I glued her feet to the floor. Sorry, hopefully we'll be back soon. Jade. This was quite a surprise for the whole group. So, this is how the astral drop spell works. Heylin asked, resulting in the astral drops of Cornelia and Jade vanishing. Oops, when a guardian says it, they go away, forgot about that. Aiya, what are foolish girls thinking? Uncle exclaimed. Maybe you rubbed off too much on Cornelia. Irma said to Caleb as Will immediately began to search her backpack. Hey, I wouldn't do something this reckless. Caleb protested, only to have Uncle deliver a dope slap to his forehead. Ow. How many times has Rebel Boy been captured due to reckless nature? Uncle reminded Caleb. At least Jade has foresight to use snake talisman power to sneak in. But this is still a dangerous and reckless move for them, especially for not telling the rest of us about it. Toru said. I agree. Yanlin said. If Cornelia and Jade are in Meridian, you must go there immediately. But not as the Guardians. Will said as she finished searching through her bag. Why not? Terani asked. Because one of them took the heart of Kandrakar. Will revealed. Jade's note doesn't mention the heart. Jackie stated after looking over Jade's note again. Cornelia probably took it then. Toru assumed. Iya. Uncle exclaimed. Without heart, girls cannot transform. Only bearer of the heart has that ability. Darn it, Cornelia. Alchemy smacked her forehead. I wanna see Elion again too, but this is just crazy. Get the other talismans. Jackie instructed with a serious expression on his face. We're going to Meridian, now. And find Blanc, we need a portal. Will also stated, as the whole group was already on their feet. Meridian. Thanks to the snake talisman, both the invisible Jade and Cornelia had snuck into the castle with little effort. They were able to follow the patrolling guards, being careful not to make a sound, as they entered the main gate before searching the inside of the castle. Any willies yet? Cornelia whispered to Jade. Not yet. Jade replied. But keep it down. The snake talisman keeps us from being seen, not heard. Right. Cornelia nodded as they remained invisible, rounding a corner, while sticking close to the walls to avoid the patrolling guards. After a couple minutes of searching, the pair heard a trio of familiar voices. Man, I really feel bad keeping the kid in the dark like this. They heard Ratso's voice around the corner as they saw the enforcers talking right outside a door. She's sweet. Yeah, not like that psycho brother of hers. Chow commented. It's not like we can tell her, she probably won't believe us. Finn said. And there's also the fact that Phobos and company would have our heads if we spill the beans. Think that's Elion's room? The still invisible Cornelia asked her companion in a whisper. Only one way to find out. Jade said, while remaining invisible, she spotted a table next to her with a vase on top. She kicked the table down, to knock over the vase and shatter it, getting the attention of the enforcers. Hey, what was that? Chow asked. It came from over there. Finn said as he, Chow, and Ratso went over to investigate, leaving the door briefly unattended as the invisible Jade and Cornelia snuck in. Much to their relief, this was Elion's room as the princess sat on her bed, looking in confusion as the door appeared to open and then close on its own. However, the two invisible girls revealed themselves as Jade put the snake talisman away. Cornelia. Jade. Elion looked in surprise as she stood up from her bed. Elion, I had to see if you're alright. Cornelia said as she pulled out the photo of herself, Elion, and alchemy. You're my best friend, and I brought you this to remind you of that. I would still do anything for you. And please don't say anything until you let us explain what happened back on Earth. You two really shouldn't have come here. Elion told them. Look, I don't know exactly what Phobos and his buddies have told you, but I can promise they're all lies. Jade stated. We can even show you. If you just come with us. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Elion told them. I know you two and the others think what you're doing is right, but that Heart of Kandrakar thing is brainwashing you. It's corrupting you with its power. What? You think it's like Lord of the Rings or something? Jade asked. Look, just hear us out, okay? Please, Elion. We're not brainwashed. Cornelia pleaded. We're your friends. Don't you remember any of the good times we had? Of course, we do. And that's why I want to help you. Elion stated. And I'm going to help you. But with the fire that rebels started in the town, I can't afford to play it safe. What? What fire? What are you talking about? Cornelia questioned when suddenly, Elion waved her hands, and both Cornelia and Jade were encompassed in a magic bubble. Elion, no. I'm sorry guys, but this is for your own good. Elion told them with an apologetic look on her face. Guys, she called out to her guards outside as the enforcers walked into her room. Hey, what the? Finn exclaimed in shock upon seeing the trapped Jade and Cornelia. How'd these two sneak in? Chow questioned. I don't know, but take them to my brother. Maybe he can undo their brainwashing. Elion told them, right before Ratso took the bubble and dragged it away with Finn and Chow right by her side, with Jade and Cornelia trying to pound their way out, but unable to so much as dead it. In little time, the trapped Jade and Cornelia were brought to Phobos, throne room where he, Cedric, Daolon Wong, and Tarakudo resided. Before they could even begin questioning their captives, however, the magic pool on the floor just beneath the throne came to life to reveal magical footage of the group consisting of Jackie, Will, Irma, Uncle, Heilin, Toru, Terani, Alchemy, Caleb, and Blanc scaling the rocky hillside that led to the rear of the castle. Chan, the Guardians, and their allies all approach, but in earthly form. Interesting. Phobos mused. Perhaps they merely wished to be discreet in their approach, suspecting another frontal assault to be futile. Daolan Wang assumed. Maybe. Tarakudo didn't seem that convinced as he looked closely at the two captive girls, with Cornelia looking a little intimidated, while Jade glared. You two wouldn't happen to know something that we don't, would you? Kiss my butt, Taradork. Jade exclaimed in defiance. Well, at least your retorts are original. The Oni King commented. Regardless, your plan did indeed work, Tarakudo. Phobos congratulated. You lured two of the Guardians, which has brought the rest to our doorstep. Happy to be of assistance. Tarakudo smiled. My prince, what of Elion? Cedric asked, getting the attention of not only Jade and Cornelia, but also Finn, Ratso, and Chao. Ah yes, Phobos began as his magic pool shifted to reveal Elion's room as she herself seemed to be sitting on her bed. My sister would not want to see the demise of her erstwhile friends. He threw some magic dust over the pool, which sinked into it and actually appeared in Elion's room, over the girl's head before she fell onto the bed, much to the shock of the captured girls and the enforcers. No, Elion, Cornelia exclaimed. Whoa, what just happened? Chao questioned. She is merely sleeping, Phobos said as he stood up from his throne. Come, let us go greet our other guests. He prepared to walk out with the rest of his associates. What of these two? Wang asked, referring to Cornelia and Jade. In their current state, they are of no threat to us. Phobos brushed off. We'll deal with them later. He and everyone else left the throne room, leaving Jade and Cornelia alone, still contained in the magic bubble. Meanwhile, the rest of the heroes had snuck in through the gladiatorial arena, which seemed unusually dark as they tried to find their way into the castle. Okay, there should be a sewage pit around here somewhere. Caleb looked around, when suddenly Tarakudo felt a chill down his spine, much to everyone's worry. Toru. Jackie asked with concern. Let me guess, the Willies. Terani asked with a gulp as they all knew exactly what that meant. Yep, Toru confirmed. Suddenly, multiple flames lit up all over the arena, illuminating everything to reveal that all the stands were occupied by virtually every guard and lurden that worked in the castle, all of which cheered and roared with anticipation. Trap, Will asked as the entire group circled up with their backs to each other. Trap, Jackie confirmed. At the uppermost balcony of the stadium, Phobos sat on his personal chair with Tarakudo, Cedric, Daolan Wang, Miranda, and the enforcers all by his side. The Dark Prince rose from his throne, raising his hand in the air to silence the crowd. Welcome, my friends. Phobos greeted his subjects. This is bound to be our greatest match yet. Jackie Chan and the Guardians of the Veil. This announcement was met with a series of boos, directed to the heroes. And this is why I hate away games. Irma muttered in minor annoyance. Against my newest and most deadly warrior yet. Phobos finished as he looked toward Wang with a nod. Zen. Wang shot out his staff to send a dark magic bolt onto center of the arena, in front of the group of heroes. When the smoke cleared, their opponent stood in front of them. He was a dark Kai warrior, but one unlike any other they've seen thus far. He was far muscular than all the others, with a steel plate appearing to be embedded onto his chest. His dark red hair was tied back in a long and fiery shaped ponytail, with a familiar mustache and beard pattern. One look at his face, and the heroes all knew who he was. Hawk Fu. They all exclaimed in shock. Ah, I see you've already met. Phobos addressed with a sneer before addressing the dark Kai Hawk Fu. Warrior, please reacquaint your old friends with the new you. With pleasure, my prince. Hawk Fu sneered himself before leaping high into the air. Phoenix flies to moon, he exclaimed as he shot high enough into the sky that he completely vanished for a second. Next thing they saw coming down was a blue fireball, which completely engulfed the falling Hawk Fu. Meteor brings mass extinction. Run! Jackie exclaimed as the group tried to clear the way, right as Hawk Fu landed with explosive results, the shockwave sending all of them, even Toru, flying and rolling hard across the ground. Tiger Boy's been hitting the magic gym, Irma groaned as they tried to pull themselves up. Daolan Wang has turned Hawk Fu into Dark Kai warrior. Uncle exclaimed with distress. All his strength and power are further enhanced by dark magic. As if this guy wasn't scary enough already. Terraini gulped as they saw Hawk Fu step out of the self-made crater. Tornado decimates trailer park. Hawk Fu spun his body so fast that it created a miniature tornado, complete with electric bolts of pure friction as he spun like a top, shooting toward the group. Everyone scatter. Jackie ordered as the group tried to run away, while the Hawk Fu tornado gunned straight for Jackie. The martial artist purposely ran toward and leapt over each and every obstacle in front of him, hoping it would be enough to slow down Hawk Fu, but that did not seem to be the case as he obliterated everything around him. Will tried to come in around the side along with Terraini as they shot out blasts of I-beams and fire blasts respectively, from the pig and dragon talismans. Both blasts hit the tornado and sent it crashing into the wall. However, Hawk Fu stepped out of the smoke and cracked his neck before leaping at the two girls, forcing them to split as his axe kick impacted the ground, causing a minor tremor which shook up the entire arena and knocked most of the group off their feet. Caleb tried to leap up at Hawk Fu from behind and get him with his katana, but Hawk Fu caught the blade with his hand, not even bothering to turn around as he delivered a kick that was strong enough to send Caleb crashing into the wall, resulting in cheers from the crowd, which was likely toward Caleb's pain for being the leader of the rebellion. "Hey big guy!" Alchemy exclaimed as she used the monkey talisman to transform into a large elephant. She then tried to charge him, but Hawk Fu actually grabbed the elephant by her tusks and lifted her up into the air before throwing her into the wall where Caleb was recovering. Thankfully he rolled out of the way before the elephant impacted the wall, right before Alchemy changed back to normal. "Hey, you guys keep him busy. I got an idea," Irma said to Toru and Heilin specifically. They both nodded as Heilin hovered in the air, courtesy of the rooster talisman, while also telekinetically picking up multiple weapons scattered over the arena. "Hey Hawk Fu, have a taste of this." Heilin called to him before throwing all the weapons at Hawk Fu, but he quickly sliced with each of his hands at such a rapid pace, it was almost a blur as he sliced through each weapon with extreme precision. However, this proved to be a distraction as Toru grabbed him from behind with a bear hug. "Hold him still," Irma exclaimed as she used the ox talisman to dig her palms into the ground and pull up a huge slab of the ground before walking over to Hawk Fu with it, who nearly flexed his arms to break free of Toru's grip with little effort. "Hey, time for you to go poof big boy." She threw the slab at him, but Hawk Fu stood perfectly still as the slab hit and broke in half once it made impact with his head, much to everyone's shock. "I do not, poof," Hawk Fu said, brushing off some debris from his shoulder before walking toward the frightened Irma and knocking her away with a back slap. Back with the villains, Miranda gave a chuckle as she saw this. "Now this is entertainment. Yes, a wise addition to our army." Phobos smirked before it briefly faded. Unlike three certain failures who have done little more than serve as embarrassments. He glanced at the enforcers specifically, who glared at him in response while Ratso blew raspberries at him. Uncle drew his blowfish to shoot multiple Kai blasts at Hawk Fu, who proved far too quick for Uncle to even get a hit as he leapt and dodged each attack before leaping into the air to try and deliver a double fist strike toward him. Fortunately, Jackie zoomed in with the rabbit talisman to pull his uncle out of the way just as Hawk Fu landed as most of the heroes all began to regroup. "Something's off," Tarakudo noticed. "They're using the talismans, but the girls aren't transforming. How can that be, unless," Phobos gave a gasp of realization. "They don't have the heart of Kandrakar. The other two, they have it. You three." He stood up to speak directly to the enforcers. "Bring those girls and the heart of Kandrakar to me at once." "Who? You mean as failures?" Finn questioned out of spite. "Why don't you ask your precious Hawk Fu?" Ratso also questioned in an equally spiteful tone. "Why don't I twist your bodies till they break?" Phobos exclaimed as he blasted all three of them with his magic and literally began to twist their bodies like pretzels. "We're on it," Finn groaned in pain-induced reluctance. "You say, jump," Ratso began. "We say, how high?" Chow finished before all three were picked up in Tarakudo's telekinetic grip. "I'll go as well and make sure they don't mess this one up." Tarakudo volunteered as he disappeared, and the Dark Kai enforcers were pulled into the castle. "Cedric, Wong, Miranda, you three stay by Elion's room and make sure nobody enters," Phobos ordered. "I will stay here and personally watch the end of these infernal pests who have plagued me for so long." As you wish. Miranda smirked as she transformed into her humanoid spider form before Wong waved his staff to encompass himself, as well the two shapeshifters near him, before the smoke vanished, along with all three of them, leaving Phobos alone to continue watching the battle below. We're going nowhere against this guy. Will exclaimed as she aimed the pig talisman again to blast heat beams from her eyes at Hawk Fu, only for him to cross his arms and tank the blast with little effort. We gotta find Jade and Cornelia and hope they got the heart. I doubt this guy's just gonna let us leave. Terani exclaimed as she tried to flank Hawk Fu and shoot a blast of fire from the dragon talisman, but Hawk Fu leapt over the blast and tried to strike at Terani as he came down. But Hei Lin picked up a piece of debris with the rooster talisman and threw it Hawk Fu to knock him off course, but he recovered quickly enough before leaping toward Hei Lin, who hovered higher into the air to avoid getting grabbed. Jackie however noticed the hole Irma made in the arena when Irma pulled the slab from the ground. Caleb, can you get into the castle from there? Caleb noticed the hole as well. Yeah, I can. Good. Take Blanc, Alchemy, and Uncle, the rest of us will keep Hawk Fu busy. Jackie instructed. We will. Irma asked with a gulp. Yes, we will. Toru confirmed as he tried to charge Hawk Fu to keep him distracted, but Hawk Fu easily caught the sumo with one hand before throwing him away. This however was enough of a distraction to allow Caleb, Uncle, Blanc, and Alchemy to sneak away through the hole as Hawk Fu faced the heroes, Will specifically. Your turn, leader of the Guardians. Hawk Fu said menacingly. Take 5. Will said with a nervous chuckle, but before Hawk Fu could even strike, Jackie was able to use the rabbit talisman to grab and pull Will out of the way just before Hawk Fu's fist obliterated the wall that he punched. Back in the throne room, Jade and Cornelia still remained trapped within the bubble, unable to escape. I don't wanna say I told you so. Jade said to the blonde. Oh wait, I totally wanna say I told you so. I'm sorry, okay. I didn't ask you to come with me. Cornelia argued. And you would have been caught by yourself, regardless. Jade argued back. Take it from someone who has experience. Cornelia couldn't even find a proper argument, knowing how right Jade was. However, she felt a pulsation in her pocket and pulled out the heart of Kandrakar. Once she and Jade looked inside, they saw the face of their friend. Will, are you here? Cornelia looked in surprise before the heart began to glow, creating a surge of power that was enough to break the bubble and free the two girls. We're out. And you're also in. They heard Tarakudo as he appeared as well, with the 3 Dark Kai enforcers below him. In a serious amount of trouble, that is. Yeah, well so are you. Cornelia pulled out an onion from her pocket and threw it at his face. My eyes. My eyes. Tarakudo screamed as he cried, green energy before vanishing, much to the surprise of the Dark Kai enforcers. Well, that was anticlimactic. Chow stated before he and his friends turned to see Cornelia and Jade had completely vanished. Where'd they go? Ratso looked around, only for an invisible force to stomp on his toe and push him toward the window, causing him to crash into it and fall out of the castle. Whoa, what just happened? Finn questioned as he and Chow looked outside where Ratso had fallen, only for the same invisible force to push them out the window and send them falling as well. And that is how it's done. Jade said as she and Cornelia turned visible again briefly, before giving each other a high five, and turning invisible once more to leave the throne room. Meanwhile, Caleb led Uncle, Blanc, and Alchemy through the lower levels of the castle. Caleb, you are going wrong way. Uncle told him as they ran toward a stairwell. Look, I've infiltrated and scouted this castle before. Caleb stated. I know where I'm going. Suddenly he and the rest of his group were cut off by a plume of dark smoke, revealed to be Daolon Wong, Miranda, and Cedric. See, wrong way. Uncle said, much to Caleb's annoyance. Wong was the first to attack as he blasted Dark Kai magic from his scepter, which Uncle retaliated with a beam of his own Kai magic from his blowfish. Both blasts collided and pressed against each other while Cedric and Miranda moved around them to engage Caleb and Blanc respectively. Caleb rushed past Cedric, slicing at his side with his katana, causing Cedric to hiss in pain before he slammed his tail into Caleb to smack and pin him against the wall. However, right before Cedric loomed over him, Caleb stabbed the katana into Cedric's hide, causing him to wail and release his grip before Caleb ran up his body to slice at his face with his sword. At the same time, Alchemy used the monkey talisman to transform into a bird and fly around to avoid the shots of webbing that Miranda shot at her. She then flew directly behind Miranda and transformed into a large black bear that grabbed Miranda in the form of a literal bear hug, which Miranda had a hard time breaking out of. While the villains were kept busy, Blanc climbed up the next set of stairs before finding his way toward the door that led into Elion's room. He took a quick whiff of the door. "Girl here," Blanc said before sniffing further. 3 girls. Back in the arena, the spectating guards and Lurdans all cheered as Hawk-Fu appeared to be whining against the group of heroes. Despite them wielding the talismans, they appeared to be no match against Hawk-Fu's marital arts experience and newfound powers as a Dark Kai warrior. Honestly, the only thing that kept them going was Jackie providing relief with the horse talisman, which he quickly zoomed to the nearest downed girl, or Toru, once they were down, but even he was now becoming exhausted. Hawk-Fu punched the ground to send a powerful shockwave that knocked away Toru and Irma, sending them flying and rolling across the ground. He then picked up Toru and threw her at the hovering Heilin, too fast for her to dodge with the rooster talisman, causing them both to crash and fall hard onto the ground. Terani tried to blast him with fire from the dragon talisman from behind, but Hawk-Fu had leapt over the blast and landed behind Terani to deal a kick that sent her flying all the way to the other side of the arena. Jackie zoomed over with the rabbit talisman to Terani and provided her some much-needed healing with the horse talisman, but also found himself cornered as Hawk-Fu was already directly in front of him. Jackie stood protectively in front of Terani and attempted to punch him in the chest, only to feel as if he had just punched a steel wall, and maybe broke his knuckles. Jackie winced and tried to wave the pain away, only for Hawk-Fu to grab him by the shirt, turn around, and punch him to send him crashing into the wall on the other side, resulting in cheers from the crowd, and a satisfied, yet malevolent, smirk from the spectating Phobos. Hawk-Fu slowly approached the downed Jackie, but Will quickly blocked his path. "Hold on. Time out for a second. Take a good look at yourself, Hawk-Fu," she told him. "Phobos and Wong have made you their personal attack dog, their slave. Is this really what you want? To be some kind of inhuman monster for the rest of your life?" Hawk-Fu looked directly into her eyes with an evil smirk. "Yes," he said before grabbing Will by her coat and pulling her close. "Elion, please wake up." Cornelia tried to shake her awake, but it didn't seem to work. "What's going on with her?" Jade however noticed that Elion's face was covered with sand, the same kind of sand Phobos used when he casted her spell. "Looks like she had a visit from the Sandman." She brushed the sand out of Elion's face, which began to stir her awake. "Rise and shine, sleepyhead." As Blanc climbed onto the bed, he noticed the Book of Secrets. "Ooh, pretty gold square, ow." He felt a smack on his forehead from Uncle, who had just arrived along with Caleb and Alchemy. "Not square, book. And book contains powerful magic," Uncle stated as he picked up the book. "Elion, Cornelia, Jade," Alchemy exclaimed upon seeing her friends again. "I was really worried for all of you." Though Cornelia and Jade were also glad to see her, Elion still appeared drowsy. "Princess Elion, the rebels are all behind you." Caleb bowed to Elion, who appeared to be almost fully awake. "Real this time, no ghost?" Blanc asked. Suddenly, the door burst open to reveal Wong, Cedric, and Miranda, the 2 shapeshifters in their human forms, while all 3 of them looked more than a little angry. "Talk later. Time to go," Jade exclaimed. "Everyone, get on." Alchemy used the monkey talisman to transform into a giant condor, one big enough for everyone to get on except for a certain princess. "What about Elion?" Cornelia asked. "We'll come back, but we gotta go," Jade exclaimed as Condor Alchemy was already flying out the window. Once they made it outside, they flew just above the gladiator arena to see most of their friends beaten down, with Hawk-Fu holding up the defeated Will by her legs from a ledge near the stands. "Whoa, is that Hawk-Fu?" Cornelia exclaimed. "Looks like he's Dark Kai turbocharged," Jade observed. "Do not just sit there. Give Will heart," Uncle exclaimed as Alchemy tried to fly closer. Will looked more than a little nervous as Hawk-Fu held her upside down by her legs. "Hey, good thing I didn't wear a skirt. Finish them, warrior. Now," Phobos ordered. Hawk-Fu smiled evilly as he looked down at Will. "Shall I make a wish?" He was ready to rip her in half when the shadow of a giant condor appeared over him, much to his surprise as it flew down with its passengers. Will. Catch. Cornelia threw the heart of Kandrakar toward her, which Will was able to successfully grab and said the magic words as soon as she had it. Guardians unite. In their usual flashy demeanor, Will, Jade, Irma, Cornelia, Helin, and Terani all transformed into their respective guardian forms as J-Witch as they hovered over the injured Jackie and Toru, while Alchemy sat down before turning back to normal as she, Uncle, Caleb, and Blunk tended to them. "Ah yeah, we're back baby," Jade exclaimed with a fist bump. "Alchemy, you and the others look after Jackie and Toru, the rest of us will handle Hawk Fu." Will instructed as all 6 of them flew toward Hawk Fu, who only smirked upon seeing them as guardians. Finally, Hawk Fu leapt toward them with his supercharged strength. Tyrannosaurus swats flies. He tried to smack them out of the air, but they all flew away to avoid his devastating strikes. Terani was the first to attack by throwing a volley of fireballs, which Hawk Fu braced himself to defend against. While Terani appeared to have had him pinned, Cornelia used her control of the earth to not only shake up the ground but grow a series of plant tendrils which had completely ensnared and cocooned Hawk Fu. Terani then lifted a series of large rocks from the ground before throwing them at the immobilized Hawk Fu. However, he need only flex his arms a bit to escape the bindings before leaping into the air, punching each rock to dust that was thrown at him before grabbing the surprised Cornelia and slamming her down hard onto the ground as she fell. Suddenly, Hawk Fu was blasted by a powerful torrent of water, courtesy of Irma. While Irma continued to spray him, Helin inhaled deeply before exhaling to blow a powerful breeze of cold air, in an attempt to freeze Hawk Fu. However, the ice wouldn't hold him as he raised his hands and brought them down onto the ground to create a shockwave to blow the Guardians back slightly and break the ice off his body. Jade then flew directly at Hawk Fu with a clump of shadow magic in her hand, which Hawk Fu attempted to retaliate by throwing a punch. Volcano blows top. However, the clump of shadows not only completely absorbed the attack, but even trapped Hawk Fu's fist. Jade then flew over and quickly landed behind Hawk Fu to pin his other hand in the growing clump of shadows to pin his hands behind his back. "He's all yours, Will," Jade exclaimed as she kept Hawk Fu pinned, leaving him open for Will to fly in and deliver an airborne roundhouse across Hawk Fu's face. She then threw out a series of powerful punches and kicks across Hawk Fu's body, which did appear to cause him some form of pain, but not as much as Will's fists were feeling. "Ah, feels like I'm punching a steel wall." Will winced as she waved her hands in a similar manner to Jackie. However, Hawk Fu was able to channel enough strength into his hands to break free of Jade's shadow bindings, grab her and throw her at will to send them flying into the air, but they quickly recovered and regrouped with their fellow guardians. "Even with our powers, he's still more than a match for us," Terani stated. Will began to think as she looked toward her hand and just realized she still had the dragon talisman with her. She then appeared to get an idea. "Hey Lin, make a tornado around Hawk Fu. A big one," Will instructed. "One powerful enough to bring him into the air." "Got it." Hey Lin nodded as she flew down and began to spin around Hawk Fu, channeling as much of her air power as she could. Already, she began to create a large tornado that had already began to pull Hawk Fu into the air. "Everyone, throw as much elemental power as you can into it. Now," Will ordered. As per her instructions, Terani sent a torrent of flames into the tornado, with Irma blasting a stream of water from her hands. Cornelia even pulled as many rocks as she could and threw them into the vortex, be they big or small. Even Jade threw in a stream of shadow magic into the mix. "He may not go poof, but let's see him go boom." Will shot out the dragon talisman to shoot a concentrated fire stream into the elemental vortex, which was the equivalent of throwing a match onto gasoline. Boom. Asterisk. The explosion caused everyone, Jackie, Alchemy, Uncle, Caleb, Toru, and Blanc, who had all recovered thanks to the horse talisman, along with Phobos and the spectating guards and Lurdans, to look away and avoid being blinded by the flash. Once it subsided, they all heard Hawk Fu's screams as the explosion had sent him flying straight up at least 200 feet into the air before coming back down, landing on the ground, poofing away on impact. "What do you know? He does poof," Jackie noted. Finn, Ratso, and Chow sulked as they continued to hover in the small pocket dimension within Daolan Wang's staff, when suddenly, Hakfu appeared as well, indicating he had been defeated too. Hey, welcome to Loserville. Finn gloated. Ah, don't look so sad, big guy. Ratso also rubbed in. Yeah, you're one of us now. Chow mocked as well. Shut up. Hakfu said in a pouty groan. Hell yeah. Jade exclaimed as she and the other 5 guardians all shared an aerial high five before setting down with the rest of their friends. And the crowd goes wild. Her only response was a rock thrown at her, one of several that the guards and Lurdans all threw with a series of disapproving boos and groans. Literally. Are you not entertained? Irma exclaimed, putting on a gladiator tough guy impression. Huh, are you not entertained? Come on, it's time to go. Jackie said to the group as they made their retreat. With alchemy transforming into a giant condor again to carry Jackie, Toru, Uncle, Caleb and Blanc, to fly away alongside the 6 guardians. Elion, are you alright? Phobos asked as he came to her room. Yeah, she groaned slightly, shaking off the last of the sleep spell. Phobos, Caleb, he bowed to me, said the rebellion was on my side. You know they can't be trusted. Phobos told her. Get some rest, I have to check on the rest of my guards. He left the bedroom. However, as he left, Elion looked only confused. For a second, she could have sworn she also saw alchemy alongside Cornelia and Jade. She then looked at the photograph Cornelia had given her, the one of herself and her 2 best friends. For a moment, she seemed a bit unsure about what was going on. Earth. Uncle's rare finds. Ow, ow, ow. Uncle had dope slapped Cornelia 3 times before moving on to Jade. Ow, ow. Jade only got 2 slaps, but they still hurt. You both kinda deserved that. Will scolded. What you 2 did was totally reckless and stupid. And Jade, I thought you at least learned your lesson about doing stuff like that. No, guys, don't blame Jade, it was my fault. Cornelia defended her. The whole thing was my idea, she even tried to stop me. No, I went alone with it. Jade confessed. I just thought that with, experience, we could get in and out with little trouble. Jackie gave a small sigh. Well, at least you had the foresight to not only use the snake talisman, but you also gave us a message just in case you 2 were caught. And while I am impressed by that, Jade, I'm still disappointed in both of you. I thought we made it clear that we made our decisions as a group and not so recklessly act. Yeah, and you're right to be disappointed, Jackie. Cornelia admitted. But I had to see for myself. Elion hasn't changed. It's like Caleb said, she thinks we've been brainwashed, like the heart of Kandrakar is some kind of Lord of the Rings type of deal. I kinda saw it too. Alchemy added. That look in her eyes hadn't changed at all. So maybe, is there a chance we can get her back? If Elion believes her friends to be brainwashed, it also means that she believes that all of you can be saved, and there's good in you. Toru said. Perhaps if we are able to provide her with hard evidence, maybe we can convince her. But it's gonna be a lot harder to get to her now. Terani pointed out. Phobos is probably gonna tighten up his defenses even more. Not to mention Hakfu of all people is now super dark kaijused. Irma added. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Hey, Lin winced. Forces of darkness have indeed grown stronger, yes. Uncle said. However, we still have acquired something very interesting. He revealed the golden book that was taken from Elion's room and set it on the table. Yan Lin gave a gasp upon seeing it, while everyone else didn't seem to recognize it. A book? Jackie asked. A book that is surrounded by powerful magic. Uncle explained. None of my Kai spells are able to open it. Let me try. Jade took the book along with a hairpin. There's never been a lock that I couldn't, what the heck? There's no lock on this thing. She looked in surprise when Yan Lin took the book into her hands. Miss Lin. Could this be the Book of Secrets? Miss Lin, do you know what this book is? Jackie asked once again. I've heard a few stories, Caleb began. Somewhere in Meridian, there's supposed to be some kind of book that's also a magical diary that absorbs and stores all the secrets of whoever owns it. If this is that very same book, Toru began. And it was in Phobos' possession, Jackie continued. Every plan he has for Elion, every evil thought, is locked inside. Yan Lin finished as the whole group looked at the book with surprise and interest, while the book itself seemed to shine, almost like it was tempting the heroes to try and open it, if they dared. And it's the end of part 13 of this What If. I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.